So, how was your time away?
Don't start with that.
Why not?
Let's restart this
You
goddamn
can't talk about going
podcast.
anywhere during COVID.
Yeah, I can't.
All right.
I was on my Hawaii trip with the Alberta government officials.
Yeah,
This is Kevin. He's an MP of Alberta.
Yeah.
And
He's
it's,
part of big government.
Yeah, I am
He's
big
not
government.
Subject to
A lot of people don't know this, but I am the same as politicians.
This is Kevin. He
I
is
didn't
the
imply
man.
you went anywhere necessarily. You were away from
I
the
was
shop.
away from this shop. Yes.
Or life in general. The way Scott and I started the last podcast.
He was away from his wife
You
for
probably
over 3
haven't
hours.
seen the last podcast, obviously.
I haven't seen it yet. No.
Oh, okay.
So
Was it
starts
mostly
out
about
with-
me? Was it all talking
well,
about
no.
behind my
I
back?
don't remember,
Just
but
so-
I assume so.
We
but I'll
started
but I'll
on-
watch
we
it.
started
so
on
it's
you.
to my front.
We started on you. It was
Sweet.
we had to address the loss of Kevin.
Oh, right. Because
That's how I
the
referenced.
episode previous,
It looked like I died.
Well,
the
I
episode
said,
previous, we concluded that 1 in 3 of us will kill ourselves.
yeah.
right?
Remember, I said
that's funny.
it's very likely that in a few weeks one of us won't be here.
Yeah, I had an unsuccessful suicide attempt.
Yeah. So Scott was in the
So I'm back.
hospital.
So,
So you- or
fun
not
fact.
Scott,
Now that we're on
Kevin.
the subject, fun fact: suicide rates have gone down, not up.
That's
We're
not
gonna
true.
go with this again. Oh boy.
How is that true? Tell me, because that sounds like a BuzzFeed article.
Oh, I did some research, and in BC
Yeah,
and Alberta,
Tell me.
He
That
told
was
me
it.
this last week. I'll let
Yeah.
you two have this
ma-
conversation.
I'm
maybe I
confused.
read the wrong article.
What does that mean though? Like,
That suicide rates are down, not
Like-
up
okay,
during 2020.
what are you talking about? Even the premier said that it was up.
Yeah, we listened to the premiere.
Here's
Well,
what I think.
Have you met the guy?
I think
Yeah,
that
that's
we're
fair.
we're being a little. Here's what I honestly think about this. I think we're being just a bit short-sighted on this topic in general.
Yes.
Um,
The real mental health ramifications will come in the next
Well, yeah, this is what I'm
24
saying.
36 months for
Because
sure.
a lot of the times you're planting seeds.
Yeah.
It's like when a president takes office, and if something that the past president has done is now starting to benefit him,
Mhm.
and then people will give him the
Of
boon,
course,
like, oh,
naturally.
look what he's done for us. And it's like he's been in office 3 months.
There-
he can
there-
affect nothing
There's
yet.
a fun Obama Trump thing happening here where Obama
I've heard
walked
this,
into
yeah.
the worst economic collapse in, several
And then
decades.
Trump
Yeah.
gets
And
the
then he
benefit of-
finally digs out over the course of 8 years.
Yeah.
And the stock market's at an all-time high, and Trump is like, I did that.
Dude, Obama got the rawest deal.
Yeah, but at the same
Like-
time, Trump ended up with his own pile of shit. So
Oh,
you do
yeah,
get,
for
right?
sure.
Like it's not like Trump got this victory.
Presidential karma.
Yeah, he ended
Yeah.
up getting one of the worst possible outcomes.
Mhm.
Yeah.
And I honestly do believe if it weren't for COVID, he would be president probably.
Yeah, 100%. COVID
know what I
took
mean?
his chances away.
There's just
Because
no.
Biden's not a good candidate.
Well, no. And where has he been? Have you seen anything from Biden?
No, because they're running their real candidate, Kamala.
I haven't seen him speak in forever.
I know. Well, you're not gonna.
Well, I pay
You're not gonna
attention
see
to
him when he's in
politics.
office.
Right now, all I'm getting in my feeds is like derivative stuff and like lower level politics.
Yep.
You're not getting anything from Biden.
Yeah.
And you know how I pay attention to politics pretty closely.
Yeah.
He's almost ghosting. He's almost ghosting,
best
and he's
case
about to be
scenario-
president.
Yeah.
Best case scenario, he's back there doing some real fucking work.
Maybe.
Instead of just hanging out on social media trying to prove that there's.
No,
missing
I don't
votes
think you
somewhere.
need to be
He's
clouded.
not doing any work.
But I
He
think
doesn't
that
know what work to do.
if
He doesn't
you-
know where he is. He thought he was running for senator.
yeah, he did. say
CTV
that.
News, Calgary, suicide deaths in Alberta in 2020 fewer than recorded last year.
All I can tell you is that I spoke to a therapist who is a relative of mine, and
Mhm.
he said that in his field, he is incredibly stressed right now because their phones are ringing off the hook.
Well, yeah.
Everybody's
You got
everybody's-
people; their lives are train wrecking all
Yeah.
over the place.
Everybody's suicidal right now because he gets an emergency call anytime somebody's feeling suicidal. So he's like not sleeping. Like he's getting pushed to his wits end because of all
Yeah.
the people that are getting pushed to their wits end. So
I-
it's one of those like I could probably agree with the stat, but at the same time I just from
This-
real world people,
This is what I came
sounds
away
like they're
last
having a
week
hard
with
time.
was like, yeah, no, you're probably right, Scott, but I don't think that it's even just because of the job loss aspect of it.
It's community loss.
I think
Yeah.
it's everything that's
Oh,
going
yeah.
into COVID. You're going to see a rise of everything
Mhm.
mental
Yeah.
health.
Well, I'm participating in my second lockdown right now,
Yeah.
and it's fun to. This is a unique experience in my life, obviously, and it's fun to watch.
Hopefully.
What's that?
Hopefully.
Oh, it
It's-
is you.
I mean,
Well, I
I've
don't know
been
if it is
evacuated before.
anymore.
It's
To be
great.
quite
I'm
honest
just saying,
with
I
you.
hope this doesn't keep going.
Because when this happened the first time, we came back, and a lot of people around me were like, they'll never get us again. And I'm like, oh, they
Yeah,
can get us once.
absolutely.
They can get us
Yeah,
again.
they sure can.
What
If
have I
they
been
could
preaching
do-
since we got back? I've been saying this to the guys
Yeah,
since we got
I've been
back. I was
saying it
like,
at
get
work.
ready. There's a second one
Yeah.
coming. I don't know when it is, but obviously it's going to
I
happen.
thought
We
it
were
was gonna be
starting
way
to bulk up staff again, and I'm like, whoa, keep it light. Well, I'll
Yeah.
just work harder for
Yeah.
a while.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because this
Skirt
is going to
through.
get ugly again.
Yep.
Mhm.
And maybe
Put things
even
in your
again and
savings
again.
account. Don't buy shit.
But the reason they want to put a little extra staff on is if they keep paying some staff a little bit, then they still have a labor pool to draw from when it gets busy again. If you abandon your whole labor pool and they
Well,
only keep
no,
two guys on,
what I mean by bulking up was we had hired a few new people that we hadn't had before.
oh, that's crazy.
Like we were expecting.
This is a time for
things to-
regular
Insanity, right?
Yeah, this is time for keeping the old guys only.
Yeah.
This is what I'm saying, right? Like we only did maybe 2 or 3, but it was like no,
Yeah.
because these guys aren't going to be here, and some of our actual staff probably won't be here,
Mm-hmm.
and now it's down to like 5 people.
Mm.
You know what I mean? Like it's bare bones, and I'm working now 7 days a week.
Holy mackerel!
I started off
What happened there?
well. There was some complications with
Oh, boy.
one person.
Yeah.
You doing 8 hours a day?
No, I'm
Okay.
not doing 8 hours. So I do like 6-hour shifts
Yeah.
most of the time,
Yeah.
and I have 1 7-hour shift
Cool.
because our hours aren't the same as
At
they
least
used
it's
to be.
still like you're getting paid for more than 40 hours a week to do your 7 days a week.
Yeah.
It's the worst to work 7 days a week.
I
but,
know.
But I only work 3 hours a day.
Mhm.
Like like normally I'd be off tonight, and that'd be my night off, but
Mhm.
now I'm not. So
Hmm.
I'm now full-time night man, pretty much. I have become,
Sweet.
and then I work one
Rowan was so happy with
morning,
the
and
Nightman
it throws my
episode.
whole week into an inferno.
Yeah, I wouldn't doubt it. Well, because you're back to back in it then.
Yeah.
Do you
But-
find Wednesday nights you're like extra exhausted because you're up using your brain juices this time of day?
No, because I get up anyway.
Fair.
I don't want to not get up and be productive member of society, but this is what this lifestyle's conducive to. It's conducive to I want to get a bag of chips on the way home from work at the gas station, a big jug of cola,
Yeah.
put
And-
on a
and-
movie and like
play games till 4 in the morning.
have the worst sleep of your life.
which
yeah,
you're describing the lifestyle of most cooks I know.
that is what it is,
Yeah,
and I
yeah.
don't want that.
No, I don't recommend
I
it.
don't want that
It's-
lifestyle.
It doesn't do good things for them.
No, it's terrible.
It doesn't lead to healthy relationships with yourself and others.
That was me when I was like age 14 to 18 kind of thing.
Which is appropriate.
Yeah, and then never again after that. Although there was a period when I was like 21 where I was getting like a little unhinged again and kind of playing around in that area. But,
the Nightman.
Yeah, the
Dayman
Nightman
was becoming Nightman.
the
for a little
Nightman
bit.
is really seductive.
Yeah.
Like it's surprisingly seductive because even when you're like in your 30s and you have shit to do, it's like, forget all that.
It doesn't matter how old you are. It's 2 a.m. I don't have to do anything.
Yeah.
I can just bloody sit here.
Well, my
and do what I
favorite
feel
time
like.
of the day is always either super early morning or super late night because there's
Mhm.
no one else.
Yeah.
It's calm. You know, I think the dark is really calming, but
Taking one look at you. Yes, I think you
obviously,
agree with that.
yes, obviously, I find
I think
peace
the
in the
dark
darkness.
is really calming.
like,
Because you blend into the night.
I am the night man.
You are the Nightman. It's great.
That's the difference I'm finding changing industries from working in the trades to working in tattooing. In the trades,
Keep going. You've had a few more
Your-
industries.
Your boots on the your boots on the ground at 6:30. So by noon, you've already put in 5 solid productive hours.
Yeah.
You know, you've already been to 3 different job sites, or you've already produced this much on one job site, et cetera, et cetera. Here in tattooing, you're here at the shop at 9. You're doing a consult
very
at 9:30.
leisurely, yeah.
Your client's here at 10. You spend an hour, getting your piece sized up, getting a stencil ready. You're lucky by noon to be a half an hour into your tattoo for the day,
Yeah.
right? So that's such a different mentality than what I'm used to in the trades. By
That's,
noon, you should already be done a ton of stuff.
Such a stumbling point for people when they first start getting tattooed. They're like, I've heard so many people are like, "Oh, my appointment was for 9 and I got there and we didn't start until like 10:30 or
Yeah.
11."
Yeah.
And they're annoyed. Like they're like, "Has anyone ever treated you this way?" I'm like, "Yes, almost every day."
That's
Like that's
that's
kind
how
of
it works.
that's kind of what tattoo lifestyle is like. When you're in this environment, it is leisurely. That
Yeah, of
like,
course.
you
And how
don't
do-
want to be rushing to get something done.
And how do you
Any
explain to
creative
them?
environment is that.
I spent 5 hours putting this together for you. And now when you show up, now I need to make it fit your body properly. I need to make sure that's right for you. I need to do some final tweaking. I need to make a stencil. You get that stencil in your body. Need that stencil to dry on properly. Yeah, that should take an hour to 2 hours. No problem. Any day of the week.
That being said, there have been some times with some artists where I'm like, this is getting excessive. It's like, oh, I got to go pick my kid up. Oh, I got to have a smoke break. I got to get my lunch.
Yeah.
I got to go get this thing.
Yeah.
Oh, I need to go buy a pack of smokes. Okay, now we'll do a line and then I'll go to the bathroom.
I've heard.
It's like,
I've heard.
holy shit, we're 4 hours in and I got one line on me and I'm fucking laying here half naked.
Yeah.
I've heard a
Are
lot
you
of
getting
those
billed
stories
for that?
too. Yeah.
I hope not.
Yeah.
No,
Jesus.
I've heard a lot of those stories where people are going to get tattoos and it's like a 2.5 hour tattoo. Took them 5 hours of
Oh,
smoke breaks.
there
of
was,
screwing around this, and they still got charged for 5 hours.
There was a period of my life, well, and I should say I didn't get charged outrageously at this place, but there was a period of my life where I was going to a shop,
Mhm.
and it was like almost all just pissing around and fucking, hey, have you seen this movie? And like, oh, we'll do this thing, and then we'll go look this thing up, and then we'll do this, and then we'll fucking tell me about how your week's been, and blah, blah, blah. And it was anytime I went in there at noon, I was there until 6:30 or 7, and we'd have like an hour and a half of tattoos. And it was draining the life out of me.
Yeah.
Like, it became like where I didn't even want the tattoo anymore.
Right. Right.
Like, I would tell Lee, because I was seeing Lee every week on Wednesdays, then still, I was like, I'm honestly burnt out on tattoos. And he's
Yeah.
like, well,
Yeah.
it's not me, is it? Don't tell me it's me. And I'm like, no, it's when I come to see Lee, we're chatting while we're working.
Yeah, of course.
We're in and out.
Lee's here to get it done.
An hour and a half, and we got a huge piece done. And then the next day I go to this place, and it's 6-7 hours of the slowest torture. Like, and it's just like, we've already talked about this.
Well,
And then
you're-
we get alone, like me and this
Yeah.
guy would be alone, and he'd start telling me strange stories about his youth.
Oh no.
Like about how he fucked this guy over, or like how he had this fucking hot girl, or like how he got in a fight at like a bar once, or like, just like really random stories.
Just randomly confessing to crimes. Just like,
It was
why?
like really
Why
like
do you need to confess this to
like
me?
we had built sort of a friendship where it was like he would invite me and Sarah over every now and then to watch movies with his lady kind of thing, and we wouldn't go, but like we were at that level of like,
Yeah.
are we friends
You
or
were
are
getting
we?
the invites.
You know what I mean? Like we're at that closeness stage.
It's a weird social waters to navigate when you're trying to deal with a tattoo artist, because it is a business relationship and it's a friendly relationship, and like how you balance that is a weird time. And sometimes if you're not on the same page, then you're kind of just feeling awkward the whole time, going, how am I supposed to respond here?
Well, and
Yeah.
it was for me. It was like I did enjoy these people, but like they were too unprofessional,
Yeah.
and like there was no clear-cut line there for me. And like there was a lot of nonsense. Like it was a lot of just like, can I just get the tattoo?
Mhm.
Like
Yeah.
and then it was weird. Like you could tell that there was some conversation happening about you when you weren't there. Like you could pick up on that vibe, right?
Yeah, how do you tell somebody, how about we get the business thing done first, and then we worry about hanging out after that?
It was just
If.
it was the worst I've ever felt about getting tattooed, and it had nothing to do with pain.
Hmm.
That's the sad thing. Like
And the saddest thing is that this artist thought they were being extra courteous and friendly and making you feel extra comfortable, but really they were just muddying the waters.
what
and
I
making
felt
it
like was
complicated.
this guy had no ability to communicate with people
Yeah.
for a lot of his life,
Mhm.
and now he's in an area where people will be looking up to him or enjoying him a lot because he's giving them a service. And so now he feels it's okay to be expressing himself in this way to
Mhm.
someone almost like you're his therapist, where the other way around is tattoo artists often end up being in
Yeah.
that role, right?
Yeah.
Like
Yeah,
tattoo
totally.
artists often end up hearing your stories, whether you want
Which-
to or not.
Yeah.
Which is kind of fine. It's like a hairdresser.
Right.
You know, I have hairdressers that come to me and they treat me like a therapist, and I'm like, you know what? They think that's how this is, and I'm kind of okay with it. It's interesting right now.
It's become part of
Go
the
ham.
tattoo therapy thing,
yeah,
right?
for sure.
But this I seen was like a reverse to that, where I would try and like almost stonewall him. Because like I don't want to lead in. I don't want to hear more about this.
Mhm.
I don't want to hear about this bar fight. I don't want to hear about this thing, about this hot girl you used to know and all this shit. It was just really weird.
It's where you answer those like, yeah,
Yeah. It was
like just no
For-
extra communication.
people be like, "What's your most painful tattoo story?" And I'm like, "Oh,
Has nothing to do with
This
the
guy-
tattoo.
you
This
want to
tattoo
know."
artist had talked to me the whole time about
Like
things I didn't want
never
to talk
ending.
about.
And it was
Yeah.
the worst when the other people would leave, when it was just he and I.
Well, I like
It's just
I have
like,
that
oh.
same thing. Like I can't tell you. I can only tell you one memorable haircut, and that
Mhm.
was when I had a chatty barber lady
Mhm.
that just made my whole life miserable for that 20,
Sometimes
30
you just want to
minutes.
just get the haircut.
Yeah. Yep.
Yeah, it was not cool.
Same thing. We'll have servers at work that are like, "Oh, my table talk is great," like that kind of thing. I'm like,
Yeah.
I don't want table talk. I want my fucking food and then leave me
Yeah.
alone.
Yeah.
How do I get rid of you?
exactly?
It's not
don't
that I
think
don't
you're-
like being nice,
No.
but that's all I want. Just
But like,
be
I'm not
friendly.
I hate being nice.
I'm here for nachos. I'm not here to pick up my waitress.
It's like,
Like,
have you ever seen those Skeletor memes? Like
I mean,
I've seen
yeah.
a couple.
where he's like scrolling through a phone and he's like, "I don't want to feel good. I want to feel mean," because he keeps finding positive stuff.
Oh, that's funny. That's so funny.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, like, I think anybody that brags about their any of that type of thing, like their bedside manner kind of thing, that seems like you've had one person tell you you were so great, thank you for the conversation, blah blah blah
Mm.
blah. So you've taken that as, man, I'm the best at this part.
Yeah.
Like this is,
And
which is not what a waiter is there for.
Mm-mm.
no, and another thing is that I've learned to take on as a life stance at work is like, if you get a compliment, don't even acknowledge it, because you're just as likely in an hour someone's going to be upset.
Yeah.
Because a lot of times in the service industry, what happens is you're not necessarily responsible for the customer's day.
Experience. Yeah.
Yeah, like if they come in a bad mood, there's almost nothing you can do to
That's
change
right.
that.
Exactly.
Right? So you're just kind of there to provide a service and do it the same way every
There's
time.
actually some important psychological principles at play here. You know, it's kind of like a not taking it personally thing. If someone insults you,
Mhm.
that's on them. That's not on you. The same thing if someone compliments you, you say thank you and carry on. You don't let that inflate your head.
Yep.
That's still just them projecting their thing onto you. You know, if you're walking on the sidewalk and someone walks up and says, "Man, you're a real piece of shit," that you don't take that personally. Who the fuck cares,
But what if they're really a piece of shit?
right?
You're a literal
And they
piece
gotta
of
know.
shit.
But it's the same
Like
thing. If you don't-
Mr. Panky from South Park.
Yeah. Just a poop.
so
Even he
it-
was a good guy, though.
in the same way that taking that insult personally is accepting someone else's opinion that has nothing to do with you and reflecting on yourself. The same thing with taking a random compliment and reflecting on yourself. Oh, I don't measure myself by your standards,
Well, of course we do.
right?
well,
of course we do.
a lot of people do.
A lot
Yeah.
of people do.
Yeah.
But-
That's why we have Instagram
Yeah.
and all that shit. It's like people don't know how to measure themselves because our version of ourselves is usually heinous. Like most people don't have a good view of
The
themselves.
problem
But
with
this
Instagram
is
is
the
that most
reason
people
to
don't
re-
understand Instagram.
Sure. Yeah.
That it's artificial and that it's like,
Mhm.
Yeah.
this is a service almost. Like you're
Yeah.
selling something. You're
Yeah.
not, this is not honestly how you are,
hmm
right? It's a projected version of yourself that works.
Yeah.
Which is a weird time. Which is why I have such a hard time putting my face or anything personal on Instagram, because to me, I have this very business relationship with the Instagram thing.
Yeah.
Like, oh no, that's where I put my tattoo pictures. That's
Yeah.
it.
Your
so
business is.
so projecting my actual personality onto it doesn't feel natural to me yet.
I
Right.
would say though
I'm gonna
you
experiment with it for sure.
I would say like obviously this is not like I can't diagnose it, but I feel like you have a healthy view of yourself,
I mean, I think so.
Yeah.
I
Which-
work on it.
which I don't think like so therefore it's like you having a healthy view of yourself, you don't feel the need to project something different
Yeah,
to counterbalance that, right?
I don't go through my life seeking validation.
That in itself is an attribute of someone that is in a healthier spot in terms of their own personal view, right? Because not having to rely on the affirmation of others is kind of like, oh, so you understand what you are by yourself. And you've been in situations where you've been by yourself.
Oh, goodness, yeah.
So that's one of those things where I'm like, when I look at someone like yourself and then the kind of average person, a lot of people don't have that experience of having to be by themselves, having to understand who they are by themselves and come to kind of grips with it.
Yeah.
And recognize that there's good and there's bad, and I need to work on encouraging the good parts of me and working on restricting the bad.
Yeah.
Or at least finding an outlet for the bad.
What you just said there is exactly, that's how you succeed in life in general.
Yeah.
You don't pay attention to the bad parts.
Yeah.
Acknowledge that they exist, but embellish the good parts.
Yeah.
That's
Just
how
take a
you
look
sell
at the things
yourself.
that you are happy about in yourself and encourage them.
Imagine
Bring
a
them forward.
feed curated of only your worst qualities.
Oh my
or
goodness.
the things that you know people won't like about you.
All the
How
times.
far is that going to go?
All the times you said
Probably
something.
pretty far nowadays.
Yeah.
They'd be like,
Well, I
"Holy
think
shit,
some
this
people
is
would like that
crazy."
because
That's what sells media now.
a
Yeah.
lot of the times I'll have like whatever people will attack my page and it'll be from a place of like, wow, imagine if you could get a personality, like that kind of a thing. It's like, no, darling, you don't understand.
My personality's sweet.
This has nothing to do with personality.
Yeah.
And my page does take on a persona, but like,
But it's a brand, not
it's
a personality.
a brand.
Yeah.
I can't put my cats and my interest in old video games or movies up here.
I mean, you could.
It's
but it's
not
not the
gonna
smart
work.
choice brand wise.
So like it's okay. So Scott's selling tattoos. So what if Scott starts posting cars now? Not even
Right.
cars that he's selling or cars that he's working on, just old cars that he enjoys.
Right.
Like what kind of a narrative are you crafting?
Check out this 54 Pontiac. I don't own it. I don't own it.
I just found a cool
And
picture.
then
It's
suddenly
on
there's a
Google.
Trump 2024 flag up there.
Yeah.
It's like, okay, are you building a fucking tattoo page or what?
And here's this picture of Trudeau,
Yeah.
and then here's this thing about East Coast fisheries, and then here's a tattoo, and then here's a unicycle because it was funny because there's a cat on it.
This is not what this is.
Yeah, exactly.
I'm not shit posting here.
Yeah.
I enjoy memes,
Yeah.
but I'm not posting them on my fucking page.
If you want to have that kind of eclectic variety, you gotta go to Facebook, bro.
Yeah, use your Facebook
Yeah.
for that junk.
It's
And
odd, but that's exactly.
I
what
don't
That's what
use my
Facebook
Facebook
is,
for
man.
Yeah.
anything.
Facebook
ever.
is just like
Same.
But-
vomit what you want.
Yeah,
out.
it is. And who cares where it goes or who sees it?
Yeah, Facebook is meant to like. Here's a serious political meme.
Sarah uses it
Here's
like
a funny
a
meme. Here's a
noteboard.
picture of my grandma who has cancer.
Like I
Yeah.
sent Sarah an album that I enjoyed at work, and she posted it to her Facebook so she'd have somewhere to go to find it, kind of thing.
That's not the right way to use Facebook, but
But the
That's
thing
okay.
is like people use it for anything.
Yeah,
like
I
it's
know.
just a junk feed.
well, I think for like I don't know about, but I think your wife, my wife, Facebook Marketplace. That's like what. That's all that
Yeah.
That's all that she uses it
It's-
for.
Well,
it's
that's
beating
that's
Kijiji now.
basically
Yeah.
all
Like, if
Sarah
you want to buy a
does.
dirt bike or something, you gotta go to Kijiji still. But otherwise, Facebook Marketplace is the way.
Yeah, which is wild to me.
But yeah, you can't just like, okay, so Scott's gonna be tattoos, and then all of a sudden he's got an old car there.
Mhm.
So
Mhm.
people will be posting that way on Instagram, and then they attack me for not doing that. But it's like, no, buddy, this is why you're not going to go anywhere with Instagram. Why are you even doing this?
Well, most people don't use Instagram for that.
I would never use it for any other reason.
I know.
I would never use it if I was planning to do nothing with it.
Yeah, I know.
Like, why would you waste your time with that?
Well, that's okay.
But this is
So-
why it's so hard to get ahead in Instagram now, because such a large percentage of the user base is trying to get ahead.
I'm not
Right?
saying that not everyone like you. I'm not saying you can only be a success if you reach a certain point. But what I'm saying is that you should be actively trying to better yourself in all fields that you're using. Why do anything poorly?
Well,
I don't want to do anything poorly.
Oh, dude, I know. You and
I
me
will.
both. It drives me
I'm
nuts.
not putting effort into something that I don't care about.
Yeah.
No, thank you.
Well, okay, so there's a lot of people that can't see that.
That
That's
they can't see they're doing poorly, or that they can't see that idea.
both.
A lot of people work at the Gap, and that's it.
Not for long.
They're good on it.
But they do have a high turnover.
Yeah.
So.
No, I mean, I just think the Gap's going. I think the Gap's going under.
Why? Because
they?
Kanye West got involved?
I think that was their like. Maybe they'll be successful, but I think Kanye is slowly getting figured out.
And here's the thing.
Like, I'm not even kidding you.
Can we just trash Kanye for a while?
Yeah,
or-
I'm down.
I want to get one more point
Divorce
in here.
proceedings are happening right now.
No.
Yeah.
So I'm perfectly cool with the people out there that just scroll through Instagram and they want to see shit that they like.
Mhm.
That's different than it is a post a day and it's just random junk.
Mhm.
It's like, why are you doing this to yourself? And
Well-
then you must feel bad when 3 people liked your post.
So here's the thing.
I wonder, eh?
I think that I think that Instagram started in a lane, and it got bought by the lane that is now in it.
Mm-hmm.
Because like Facebook is not about broad, large marketing. It's about people that know each other,
Yeah,
communicating and interacting with each other.
that's right.
So it's like,
Showing each other what meal they had. for
Yeah.
breakfast.
Yeah.
and Facebook has always kind of been difficult for large entities to cut through the noise.
Yeah.
Like, I remember back in the day, like you'd go on Facebook and you'd try and follow your bands and stuff like that, but you'd
Mhm.
never see their stuff
No.
because
No.
they push all that stuff out of the way because the thing that they're trying to encourage is social networking.
Do you
And
remember
then everybody else has to pay.
Do you remember when it was like you would write a status, but you would be writing it as a third person?
Yeah.
Like it would be like, Jeremy is going for a burger.
Is
Oh.
eating a pizza and feeling great.
This
Feeling great. I got a 3 cheese pizza tonight.
This is why we don't go on Facebook.
Yeah, well, that's how it started.
I mean, like,
I go
man,
back through
get
my
in-
Facebook memories. I can still see some of those
Really?
sometimes.
Oh,
I'm
I
like-
wasn't into it when it was that stuff.
I
Because I looked at
started
it, I was
when
like,
it was-
what?
I started on 2007,
Wow.
so I got on it pretty
Vintage.
soon.
Mhm.
And my account's been the same ever since.
I've got a
but
hunch mine's that old.
Really?
Yeah.
Yeah, mine, I don't think so. I don't think I got into it until a little later.
But I haven't really used it since 2014.
I remember thinking MySpace was the thing. Because I was in a band. And MySpace was the
Right.
thing.
So what were we talking about before we started the podcast? Was
Kanye?
it? No, I think we're talking about something lockdown.
Oh boy,
Oh,
that was
yeah.
quite the transition.
Yeah. I just
Graceful.
you know I don't love talking about I don't love talking about social media, and here we are deep in social media chat. So I was like, wait a second, we had a
No,
topic
we're
here,
gonna
didn't
stay
we?
there long. I just wanted to talk about that thing real quick.
And then I busted out
Yeah.
the smooth transition. So
Yeah,
here
that
we
was,
are.
that was dope.
Yeah.
But can we talk about Kanye for a second?
Okay, sure. First, my only impression of Kanye is the Rogan interview. I've
Okay.
never seen Kanye do anything else. I've never heard his music.
I've seen
never
him do other
his, I don't know.
things,
I've seen he
but-
paints or something. I've never seen his art.
He does not paint.
Okay, I don't know.
So-
he just not.
my only impression is him on Rogan,
So,
and he seemed
That's
really,
a bad impression.
He
That's-
seemed really dumb.
He
like
was worse
really
than Miley
dumb.
Cyrus somehow,
Yeah.
which I thought was going to be the bottom of the bottom.
no, Miley Cyrus, other than being a proper narcissist,
I
Is,
hated that interview. They couldn't stay out of the weeds for 10 minutes.
Yeah,
Sometimes
picked
I
it
think
apart
we
really
get into
hard.
the weeds a little bit.
what do you mean?
Holy fuck, no.
But
We're way
Kanye-
more on topic than anything that happened
But
in that
Kanye was
discussion.
made of weeds. Like,
So, like,
Yeah.
I
I'll give
kind
you
of
that.
like Kanye. I think would be Kanye's a good example of kind of I think a Trumpian, the megalomaniac type endearment. Because like what? So the
He's
history
a
of
character.
Kanye
I'll
is
give
like
you that.
he was
Mm.
a young kid rapping. He got really successful. He got in with a big crowd of like Jamie Foxx tells a story about how Kanye rapped at his house and everybody was
Mhm.
like, "Oh, this is the kid that's going to come up and
Mhm.
destroy the game or whatever." So, anyways, he gets in with Jay-Z, who kind of
Mhm.
mentors him and makes all of his killer records.
yeah,
And like a lot of rap game is making those killer records, like
Oh, of
the
course,
beats and things
goodness.
like that. So it's like he had a great ability to do that from the hop, and
Mhm.
then he kind of went down the rabbit hole of doing it in my opinion, the Trump way. The Trump way is to get the cheapest thing you can do to get it done.
yeah.
And you would always be breaking a new somebody. So he started getting into breaking these new producers and stuff like that. And it's only because he didn't have to spend top dollar.
Sure.
Yeah.
Which, I mean, if you're doing it intelligently, and that's the reason you're doing it, to save a few bucks here and there, maybe that's the right course of action.
Mm-hmm. Kanye's main gift is that he sees things that are, like, not cool and tells you that it's cool. Because,
That
like,
doesn't seem like a big gift.
well, it's made him billions of dollars, technically.
I think anytime you can go against the grain and be successful, you're doing something.
Yeah.
And, because with his clothing line, it was like, hey, you think this shit's not cool? Well, guess what it is? Everybody buy it. That's all that it is. It's
Did
all
they
clothes
buy
that I
it?
would never wear.
You should buy this from the Gap because I used to work there and
Just
then got
real
fired
quick,
for
show
stealing.
of hands, who bought it?
Who bought what?
Like, who actually bought his clothes?
Yeah, yeah.
Rich white kids.
Right.
I've never
But
been
like,
in a Gap.
I'm saying, out of the three of us, neither of us have
No,
the clothes.
But to be fair, I don't think any of us can afford his clothes.
fair enough.
Really?
Yeah.
I thought Gap was cheap clothes.
No, not Gap. So he's partnering with the Gap
Okay.
for a $10 billion deal
Sure.
over the next, however, which I'm guessing that deal falls through. But basically, it's for the same reason. It's like Gap is no longer cool. So Kanye is going to come in and he's going to say it's cool. And then people are going to believe it and buy it.
Okay.
But I slowly think that kind of like face value of this guy's so good at this music thing, he must be a genius. Therefore, everything he's
This guy
saying we should
says
do.
he's a genius, so he
Yeah.
must be a genius.
Yeah, this guy's telling everyone he's a genius.
Well,
but if you
so-
tell it often enough, right?
I mean, then eventually it's true.
it's like Costanza says on Seinfeld. If you tell a lie enough, you can believe it yourself, right?
Yeah.
I
like-
mean, yeah, that's just true.
I just think he's a different thinker. So, and when you're a different thinker, that means that you see the world slightly differently than everybody else. Therefore, when you comment on it, the things that you're right about really seem prolific.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
But it doesn't mean that you're right about everything.
Have you ever read any cold reading theory?
Cold reading?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, I know. all
Yeah,
about
cold reading theory
reading.
is super fun.
Yeah.
Because these people who study cold reading, they can make all kinds of wild predictions. They can do all
Yeah.
kinds of like looking into your future and your past and telling you all about yourself.
Yep.
And the way that cold reading is done properly, or when cold reading is done properly, is done in such a way that you don't remember anything they're wrong about. You only remember the hits, the buzzwords,
Yeah,
the
yeah.
things that did go right.
They just plant a seed that's open to any kind of
Yeah, that's right.
interpretation, and then you find the way
yeah,
to
well,
get
it
there.
starts there. It starts with the double-ended lines that make you think, "Oh, you're right.
Wait, there
I-
was this
I
thing.
am kind of an extrovert, except sometimes I'm kind of an introvert."
Yeah.
Who's that woman in my
Ooh,
past?
this guy can see into
was
my
that
soul.
the woman that I met at the bus station that
Yeah.
I was too scared to talk to?
It's generalities. Which, like,
Yeah.
like, wasn't that an FBI technique for interrogation?
I'm sure.
I
it
mean,
is.
they have a whole next level.
I'm sure they used that in their methods,
Mm-hmm.
planting broad
But
strokes.
they're like deep psychologists,
Cerebral.
though.
Yeah.
They have to be.
But, like,
exactly.
I just think that Kanye is getting slowly figured out. Because it's like,
As having an IQ of 37.
no, I don't think so. I think like he's taken a different test. I don't think it's that his IQ is low or high. I think he's taken a whole different test.
He's thinking, but it's alternative thinking.
Yeah, like I mean, he is bipolar, right? And in bipolar states, like if you're gonna get manic, they do have like if you were to look back through certain like kind of genius thinkers throughout history, I'm sure some sort of personality disorder could be associated with them today.
But I've met lots of bipolar people.
I
I've been in
was
rela-
diagnosed bipolar when I was 18.
Yeah,
Oh,
so
there you
you're
go.
Kanye. I get it.
I have huge manic pushes.
Yeah.
I don't necessarily buy the classification, but like I get crazy upswings
Mhm.
where I'm like, I'm gonna get some shit done, and
Yeah.
that's when I get this hyper productivity,
Mhm.
and it ends me way farther ahead than I was.
Yeah.
Then what ends up happening is you almost run out of gas,
Yeah, of course.
and then you're just kind of like, ugh.
Well, your brain chemistry crashes
Just need
after
like,
that.
just need the whole fucking world to fuck off.
Yep.
And I don't want to talk to anyone. I'm not even sure I want to talk to my wife.
Yep.
But like I know where I'm at because I've done this enough to know like that I'm gonna shake this.
Mhm.
So don't destroy your whole world over it.
Mhm, mhm.
Because like when you're young and you feel that way, you think it's for real.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Like you think that you're actually feeling that negatively about the things around you,
Mhm, mhm.
Yeah.
but you're actually in some form of chemical imbalance at that point, and you need to realize that hey, tomorrow when you wake up, you might be back to normal.
You just need to wait it out and not
Yeah.
ruin your life.
So
That's it. That's your
take
one
any,
job right now.
Don't take any road too far right now because you're not feeling normal.
But this is true for any depression or any mental illness, or not, that's the wrong word. Any
No, I hear
Mental
you.
state.
mental state that's
Well, 'cause-
not your baseline is kind of like, hey, whoa, hold on.
I can
make the right
sense when
decisions.
I'm getting
Don't
manic,
ruin your
too.
life while you feel this way.
Because
Well,
like,
it's feelings, right?
Yeah.
Like we have this way of responding to stimulus, which is this feeling thing. So like that could be a chemical imbalance, that could be environmental, that could be anything. That could be something you ate,
Yeah.
and then we have a feeling out of
that
it.
pepperoni's got me all jacked up.
Yeah, all jacked up on Mountain Dew. But like, we have this idea, and I think popularization of this idea of your feelings are like, I was gonna say your feelings are real. That's not what I'm trying to say.
But they're
You're
tangible and
experiencing them.
correct.
Like the feelings are facts kind of
Yeah,
mentality.
yeah.
That kind of gets pushed a little bit.
Follow your heart. No, honey, right now you're a bit depressed.
Well, okay.
Maybe try to not ruin your life.
I don't
So-
enjoy the narrowing of the classifications of things. Like
Mhm.
when I was young, my dad was manic depressant.
Yeah.
Now that's part of bipolar.
Mhm.
But I have the same type of bipolar as my dad did,
Mhm.
which is I think like type 2 or whatever.
Yeah.
Because there's like 3
Oh,
types.
I didn't know that.
So like type 2 is manic depressive,
Mhm.
Yeah.
which is like real bad mood swing quick
Yeah.
and then out of it. Or
Mhm.
there's also long form changing bipolar where it's
Mhm.
like 6 months of up,
Yeah.
6
yeah.
months of down. Like
Mhm.
it's because it's such a broad
Of
classification.
course.
Yeah.
There's a lot that can happen within bipolar.
Yeah.
So like there's a show that I love called 6 Feet Under.
Okay.
And one of the main characters, Billy, has bipolar, and he's portrayed almost like he's schizophrenic.
Yeah.
Right.
So when I
Yeah,
say
they have a
I'm
really
bi-
hard time portraying bipolar in TV
No,
for some reason.
right,
did
so
say-
when I
go-
say I'm bipolar or I've been classified bipolar, it's
Mhm.
like I'm being painted with this brush.
Yeah.
Where this guy is like, cradling a knife and like writing on the walls,
Yeah.
and like he's trying to cut a tattoo off his sister's back. Like he's gone crazy
Yeah.
overnight, sort of thing. And I'm like, well, I've never been that.
I've
No.
got a story on the subject. So when I was probably 22, I had a roommate, and this is back in my preaching days. I had a roommate. We spent a lot of time together because he was a preacher too. So we were living together. We spent a lot of our time driving around, knocking on doors, right?
Yeah.
And his dad was that kind of bipolar, where during a manic swing, he would go out and ruin his life. He would cheat on his wife. He would say ridiculous things to everyone in his life, and then a week later, he's down in the dumps at the worst. He's being super cruel and mean to people he loves. He's just like, no matter which spectrum he's on, he's ruining his life. He's doing extreme things. He's running around. He's out all night. And we're talking about a 45-year-old,
Yeah.
overweight,
It only gets
grizzly-looking
worse as
dude
you age.
running around. Yeah. Well, especially if you don't control it.
Yeah.
So he
You don't
never,
get good
he never
at
got a
it.
handle on it. He started a family young, and here he is at 45 years old, just kind of going nuts. So that was one of my first. That was one of my first impressions in my adult life of like, oh, bipolar can mess you up.
See, here's what I think about it. It's like, just because you're bipolar, that doesn't mean you don't have other attributes, right?
Yeah.
So, like, it can be an amplifier on those other
Yeah.
attributes.
Yeah.
You also
Exactly.
have blue eyes.
If you
Yeah.
just happen to be a reckless, mean-spirited individual in general, and you're
Yeah.
also bipolar,
Yeah. Guess what gets
that might
turned
be a
up?
bad mix.
Yeah.
yeah.
Where if you're a decent, responsible human being with
Mhm.
bipolar, then maybe those swings level out a
With-
bit.
With, constructive hobbies.
Yeah.
And people in your
Discipline.
life that can help you navigate complicated
A
waters.
regimented schedule
Yeah,
helps
yeah.
me greatly. And when my
Exactly.
schedule's off, I get real weird.
Mhm.
This is one of those things that like I get frustrated with our. It must be that way with anything that you kind of slowly gain knowledge about, where it's like our understanding of a lot of psychological disorders are it's so in its infancy. It's so in its infancy of
We
talking
think
about
it
it.
isn't. Like
Sorry?
we're always acting as if we're at the mecca of it.
Right.
Like,
That's
we
all
have
of-
all this understanding, and
we-
we were savages in the past.
We diagnosed it, therefore it's understood.
But like, we don't want to talk about how we used to be. We
I
are how we used to be.
I saw it in that movie.
Yeah, we're still how we used to be. We're
'Kay.
like young at this.
So
Come on now.
the only question that I would have there is like who, because that was a they like
Karen.
sure.
Always Karen.
I had that answer queued
I
up. I
love
was
when
ready
like
for this.
you'll see like people like bashing each other online, and they'll be like full-grown men calling other full-grown men Karen.
Well, Karen's a state of being.
It's
right.
just it's fucking
Karen's
hilarious.
mindset.
It's
Karen's
been
genderless.
taken.
It's timeless. It's
It's
ageless.
now,
it's all of it.
now just here to stay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
When your
If-
baby's crying, you just be like Karen.
God damn it,
Unreal.
Karen.
I
Wanting
wonder how many
food
babies
again?
got named Karen in 2020.
Oh, probably very few.
Yeah, it's not a real popular name.
It'll be one of those names that they flip backwards.
There's got to be some bitch walking around, even in this
Narak?
city,
Yeah,
with
Narak.
that name at the right age and that haircut.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
just to a T.
Well,
I
they have
bet
to
you
be a
there's-
meme, right?
Yeah,
Like,
yeah. Hey, it's actually Karen.
Yeah.
Everyone give a round of
real
applause.
Karen
It's literal
actually
Karen.
This is who we're modeling it after.
And then she's there like, I don't know if I should be happy or upset, or
But like,
I need to talk to the manager.
so like who? Because like when we always say like, okay, well, this is how we always approach it as though we're certain about it, or as though we understand what's going on. Like, who is the they in all of that? Like, because I get confused about, is it just that like in the zeitgeist we all think that we've got it sorted, or is it actually like, is it because when you go to a doctor they say, oh yeah, no, it's just this? Because like when I was
I
depressed,
I think the diagnoses have led us way off track on a lot of this
I
stuff.
think it's the general.
you think it's the GP fault?
Honestly, I think it's just in general us, like as a society, we
Sure.
think that we're doing so much better than we used to be,
Mm-hmm.
and that's always how we think. That's how we thought
Mhm.
probably in the 50s too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh
You know
my
what I
God,
mean?
yeah,
Like
the
we
50s for sure.
cannot help but look back at our past selves as savages.
Mhm.
Like our
Mhm.
grandparents are savages, our parents are savages, and like I was talking about a few weeks ago about how my stepdad would beat the shit out of me, and he's a savage, right?
Mhm.
But like, imagine the beatings on him might have been even worse.
Yeah.
Oh man.
You know what I
yeah.
mean? Like it's generationally we get farther, and we're always thinking of our past as like savage woodfolk, right? Like
Mhm.
they're living out back. And
But
we
we also get a nostalgia associated with that.
but that's why I'm saying like we need to stop thinking of ourselves as, oh, we've got it figured out now. No, because 3 generations from now we're going to be looking at 2020 as those guys were idiots.
yeah, you're not
Look how
wrong.
primitive they were.
And
That-
mental health stigma is evolving. It's especially since in the last decade the spotlight has really shone onto it.
Mm.
But now that there's so much easily accessible information on the subject, everyone can go to the doctor. Like if I go to some psych doctor about this stuff, I'm sure I'll get some sort of
Yeah,
diagnosis.
there's any diagnosis you
Right?
want.
When meanwhile, currently I handle my own crap reasonably well. I do pretty fair at it. But every one of us can walk in there, get some
Oh,
sort of
yeah,
crazy
man.
diagnosis, read 1,000 articles on the internet, and say, "Yeah, that's
Why
That's
got
me
all
now.
kinds of things.
I think we should-
Depersonalization.
I think we should stop calling doctors doctors. Like, I think your GP should be called like pill guy
Bill
or
guy.
something like that. Like, because the thing that I find frustrating is
They
that-
don't actually take time to listen.
No,
They
you're
just,
telling
oh,
me,
here's,
man.
do you want this? Here you go. Bye.
Well,
yeah.
and they don't. They're not legally allowed to.
They
They're
can't
not
give you much
legally
advice.
allowed to give you advice. Like, I remember when I went in there, and like, because I was pretty depressed, so I filled out their little survey of this proves you're depressed. And it was just like I remember sitting down with my doctor, and he was just like, "Don't worry, it's pretty simple. All you have is this, and I'm going to give you the same thing that we've been giving, and that has all this stigma around it. But don't worry, it's better now."
Yeah.
Because, like, I remember him talking with me like, I mean, I know you think SSRIs, you think bad because they've been historically bad forever. But don't worry, these ones are way better. And I remember going like, oh, good. Thank God this doctor is telling me these things. And I asked him about stuff like, you know, doing exercise and changes in my diet. Because the thing that I wanted to know is I wanted to know what was going on in me. I wanted to do some
Am
blood
I
work.
doing something
Yeah.
wrong?
I wanted
Can
to
help
see
this?
like hormones. I wanted to see some sort of evidence, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. Meanwhile, did he test you for low testosterone?
Nothing.
Or anything?
I got
bloody
no
useful?
test. What I
Yeah.
got was I got the test
They're
of
in
the
so
writing.
much, I don't
Yeah.
even think it's their fault though. They're just in such a goddamn rush.
No,
Yeah.
I think it's that we haven't given them like it's not a system of health. It's a system of symptomatic control, right?
Mhm.
Like we want to be able to like the COVID thing. Like we need to develop therapeutics that work in this time, and then you get off of them,
Yeah.
right? Like
Yep.
whatever the symptom is, we need to manage that symptom because it will be going away. But the problem is like the we know in the coronavirus is like whatever symptom you're experiencing, that's because of this thing,
Mhm.
right? We have the ability to understand a root cause for a coronavirus. We don't have the ability to understand a root cause of depression.
Mhm.
But the root cause of depression for me was poor diet, because I've figured out some things in my diet that were attributing to it. Patterns of thinking that I had learned
Do you think
historically.
like here's a quick note. Do you think if you put a little disclaimer on a bag of McDonald's, like before you eat this burger and fries, you may have depression if you do so, right?
Before
Like
you eat this burger and fries,
well,
take
like,
a moment for gratitude.
how impactful? See, this goes to the argument of is a body of part more than the sum of its part, or a body of work more than the sum of its parts, right? So each individual shitty cheeseburger and French fries at McDonald's you eat,
It's only this much of the equation.
how many of those do
But
you need to
eventually-
eat for crippling depression? Like, if you have a steady diet of that stuff, does that make you depressed?
For some people, it could be one. For some people, it could be 1,000.
That is insane.
Yeah, it depends on your body type. I
Oh,
could
man.
eat
I feel
McDoubles.
so down.
I could eat
I don't
McDoubles all
know.
day long.
I think
but with
I
my
ate
lifestyle,
too many cheeseburgers.
I'll be fine.
Okay, just sitting there.
I would think there'd be a tipping point.
But
But like,
I know what you
it's
mean.
it's a crazy
Eventually.
thing,
Yeah.
and this is why it's hard for people to get behind this idea, because it is true. Because we think that it's all chemical, right? Like it's all, but like our food decides a lot of that.
Our food is chemicals.
Yeah.
But like we can't marry the image of a burger and cheese to chemicals. Like
Just
it's
like-
really hard to do.
I'm not a big advocate of keto diets, but
Well, they don't
I've-
work for your
but I've
body
done the
type.
research, and turns out you go on a keto diet, your brain chemistry changes drastically.
Yeah.
If you have bipolar or Parkinson's, or there's either way, there's a list of mental brain chemistry based conditions
Mhm.
that having keto changes the way you're feeding your brain. So
Keto's been used for epilepsy since the 70s.
exactly. Suddenly you're feeding your brain on ketones instead of glucogens. I
Yeah.
think that's the right word. Glycogens.
Yep.
And that changes your brain chemistry immediately. And a lot of those things, a lot of those conditions that we're feeding on those glycogens
Mhm.
do not behave the same way on ketogens.
Mhm.
What I find is strange is like people think that things work like what you put in will necessarily come out. So like if you don't eat that burger, maybe you won't be depressed. But then what if you aren't? It's like now I give up on not eating that burger and I go back tomorrow. What people need to do is make lifestyle changes
Yes.
instead of dietary changes.
But I guess that's what I'm saying is like a doctor can't legally cannot recommend a lifestyle change,
it's like
which is so
I told you
crazy to me.
a few weeks ago, Sarah started to quit Pepsi. She's drank Pepsi her whole life,
Wow.
Wow.
and she's trying to quit Pepsi.
Go,
And she
go
would,
Sarah.
she
Yeah.
would always
Goodness.
get like miserable after a few days. She wouldn't see results. You know what I
Yeah.
mean?
Yeah, that's like any change.
And I'd be like, no, you have to just not do it anymore,
Yeah.
and then change will come in time.
I don't know why we still sell pop.
It's
People love
wild
it.
to me.
It's
Yeah,
absurd that
and
we
there's
still
a
have
lot of
that on the
money in
shelf.
to
it.
me.
There's a lot of money in it, and people like it a lot.
Like I have no use for that aisle in the grocery store.
Neither do
Yeah.
I.
Like I'm not going in there.
But I haven't
the
drank
hell
it
is
Well,
this
but
garbage?
the more you focus on your health, the less you have room for any of the center aisles.
Well, I don't crave anything in the pop aisle. There's nothing here that I want.
I don't go to those center
Like,
aisles
oh,
for
look,
me. I get
here's water that someone pumped out of a faucet somewhere and then loaded
this is
it on
one
a
that I'm
truck.
trying to get her off of too.
So,
still,
so we could drive a truck with tap water in it to the store and then unload it at a store and put it on a shelf for you to buy and put in your vehicle and drive back
Yeah.
to your house
Bottled
when it's
water-
the same thing as in your tap.
bottled water has never
Well,
made sense to me where we live.
It's the allure that it is not.
Well, for convenience, sure.
And
sometimes
to
you
be
have
fair,
bottled water.
convenience.
There's
Who
a lot of places
cares?
that you can't have their tap water, right? Like that's one of those things. that I
That's
always
what I'm
found-
saying. Here we don't need to worry
Yeah,
about
here
it.
we're fine, but like if you buy a Brita, man, your life is golden.
Oh yeah.
Like tap water, Brita, you win. because that's
Alright.
better than any bottled
I don't
water.
even-
All
bread.
I ever drink is tea. I don't ever drink anything else. I had this coffee. That's the only thing I'll have all week that isn't
And I'll
tea.
tell you a secret: when you're traveling overseas, the bottled water tastes 10 times worse than our tap water.
Oh yeah.
Don't you worry about it.
Yeah.
So here we are.
But like, I don't know. That's one of those things that like the pop has never been an issue for me. That's one of the things that's always frustrated me about my body type. I don't eat shitty things, like on the whole,
Mhm.
because I don't have the cravings for pop. I'm not a candy guy. I don't
Mhm.
have any of those fucking things that if you just cut one of those out,
Yeah,
you lose all
These
the weight.
weird diet.
Yeah,
No.
here's where I was going with this. Is like sometimes it's not necessarily what you put in, you get out.
Mm-hmm.
This is what I'm saying. Like
Mhm.
just because you quit pop doesn't mean you're gonna lose weight immediately.
No.
No.
You need to see it through,
Yeah.
Mhm.
right? And just go with it. Know that the pop is bad, and even if you don't lose weight, it's still good to go without it and just take that on. It's less money out of your pocket, and it you can melt a T-bone steak and Coke. Okay?
Yeah.
Over a day, you can melt a steak. What's it doing to your
That's
insides?
terrifying.
Now, beyond that is
That is really scary.
I want to get to quickly is like
What
I'll
a
get
waste of a steak.
when I'll do like a topless photo on Instagram every so often if it
Yeah.
goes viral and I get into the territories of the average savage, it'll be like, why don't you work out? Like you're gonna have titties before long. You're gonna have big black titties before long. I've had that comment.
Maybe that's what I want. Stop
Yeah.
shaming
I'm
my
like,
body
I'm
type.
actually not
I
in
did-
bad shape at all.
No, you're in great
Right?
shape. Whatever.
So like imagine if I was in well no, I don't think I'm in great shape. That's
Okay.
I'm saying I'm in alright shape.
He was
No.
trying to pay you a compliment.
yeah.
Thank you. But like
Jeez.
but I'm not
Fucking take it.
but I
God damn
would
it.
never ever claim that I'm like in great shape, but I've never said that.
You're not an Adonis.
Right. And I've said that before. Like I'm I'm a guy. I'm a regular dude. But imagine if I was a bit heavier, right? Those comments magnify 100%. Now all of a sudden I'm like you were saying, you have the body type where it's not necessarily easy. And this
Mhm.
is a thing. I want to say that right now. That's a thing. Different body types pack on weight differently.
Yeah.
It's a fucking fact.
Yeah, I wish I had known that when I was a
If
kid.
I were to eat whatever I want, I would be fat again in
Yeah.
no time. And I was fat. So I can say this with some fucking authority on the matter.
Fat authority.
I was bigger than you.
Mhm.
Like quite a bit bigger than you. So
It's not a competition.
no. But like what I'm saying is
But here's your fucking gold medal.
say this one guy will say, "Oh, why don't you work out? You're gonna get fat, or
Yeah.
you're not a very impressive specimen." Kind
That
of
means
thing.
that guy needs to work out. He's feeling
sure.
bad about
Yeah,
himself.
right? Yeah,
But
he's
like
projecting
this
his
comment
insecurities onto
is
you.
the idea that I don't work out is false. I do work out.
Yeah.
And I don't know if it's that I don't eat enough or the right, but I don't gain bulk. But I'm not trying really hard either. Like we've
Gain
had this.
bulk, like gain muscle.
I want to get more muscular.
Yeah, if you want to get ripped, you got to work out hard.
right.
That's what I've bloody learned.
Like I only
depending on
do
your
20
body
minutes
type.
a day.
Like-
but I do every day
You're
pretty
gonna
well.
stay skinny forever.
yeah, see, like I can work out 2 hours a day,
Yeah.
and this is kind of what I look like.
You'll get stronger, but you probably won't get bigger.
That's right.
Bigger. I can't even
But
say
for me
words.
to gain a substantial amount of muscle mass, I'd have to really key in and really, really go after it hard.
Yeah, you got to be.
Because it's more likely that if I eat more and don't moderate what I eat, I'm going to get fat again. And I
Mhm.
already know this. I have history to back me up on this.
Mhm.
Oh, we should do 23andMe's
Oh,
because I'd be very interested to see. Because like, there's a function to that, right? Like, there's a function to that. That means that your genealogy was in a place that food was scarce for a time.
hmm
Because like, if you have the ability to be an endomorph, that means you have the ability to pack on weight easily, or you might be a mesomorph. I don't know. But anyways, there's a spectrum of it, which it usually comes in with genetics, which would mean that you're probably in a place, or you were in a place that it was hard to get food at times.
yeah.
Which was
and I think
most
my
places
body is
200 years
probably-
ago.
My body
Um,
is probably living that way too.
Most places that aren't hot all the time.
Yes.
Like if you're
right.
going north,
Mhm.
and like you'd have an easier time lasting a winter, because like you'd basically be coming up in the fall,
Yeah,
you'd
yeah.
be eating all your potatoes and starchy vegetables to help you put on weight, and then you'd be going basically keto throughout the winter because
Yeah.
you'd be able to eat animals that you might be able to kill.
But then where's
then
my
you'd be-
super pale, skinny ass genetics from? Right?
Well, you're probably from a place where there was more food.
Maybe.
Like because just because it's cold doesn't mean that there's not animals there, right?
True.
Like, yeah, or that you would be gone through a famine. I know there's some sort of thing there with genealogy in terms of like, if you were in a place that went through a famine, like people that were skinny all died, so that line didn't carry forward, kind of thing.
Now, this said, I'm reading a new anthropology book. It was actually a guy that that Lex Friedman interviewed a while back that we were both listening to it.
Mhm.
It's a Worm at the Core.
Oh,
like
I know.
Sheldon
this one.
something.
Yeah, I've
And
heard this guy.
So he's actually got a really fun take on a lot of stuff. I don't think he's right about everything, but he's still got a really fun take. He's still got some really cool philosophy in this book, right? Like the whole book is a really interesting mindset, a really interesting way of looking at human history, ancestry, and anthropology. One of his big things, though, is that he truly believes that, anything past a couple thousand years ago, humans were pretty much starving for a good portion of each year. And
Yeah.
that's where a lot of our religious experience, our psychedelic experience, not psychedelic, but our...
I would say psychedelic.
Yeah.
If you fast for a long period of time,
that's
absolutely.
exactly it.
Yeah.
So he's saying that a lot of humans' culture and evolution
Your brain
comes-
starts to work differently when you starve
comes from the
yourself.
starving Homo sapien brain.
Yeah, well, I mean, like the hunters still use it as a trick where, like, if they're trying to hunt something, they'll fast in the hunt.
Yeah.
Because, like, your eyes sharpen. It's kind of a similar thing to when, like, in the Mayans would hunt on mushrooms
Yeah.
because, like, it makes your eyes sharper.
Of course.
You
like-
deprive yourself, your senses
So,
heighten.
so this year I've been snowboarding 5 times so far.
How many on mushrooms?
5.
Sweet.
And
Were
it's
you
my-
awesome?
Yeah, and it's
Yeah.
my first time. I mean, I'm always awesome. But
Yeah.
this is my first time ever snowboarding on mushrooms, and
Yeah.
I've done it five times in a row, and it's actually really great. And even
Yeah.
those crazy mushrooms I had last time that were like
Intense.
really intense, really insane. And if you take them and just sit there, you're probably gonna have a bit of a negative time. Like
Mhm.
these mushrooms had a bit of a sense of dread to them. Take them on the ski hill, you are sharp. You're
Yeah.
in tune. You're hooking up turn after turn.
Yeah.
Like the flow state is just more accessible.
I just pictured those ones as cinematic. That's the
Yeah.
thing I always thought. I was
Yeah.
like, oh, I feel like everything's important and everything is like
They were
intense.
They were dramatic mushrooms.
Yeah,
Well,
that's cool.
the new ones are a little more
little more chill.
relaxed. Yeah. Well, the new ones make you just want to run around.
Oh, that's sweet.
That last batch kind of made me want to curl up in a ball a little bit.
Yeah.
They were not the right ones for my body,
Yeah, that's fair.
but still a good learning experience.
That's another one of those things. Like anytime somebody comes up to you and says like, "Oh, weed doesn't really agree with me," I always think, well, you had a high anxiety sativa.
Yeah, right. You had the
'cause
wrong.
Yeah,
that's the one that
Well,
doesn't work for
that's
you.
the problem with the word weed in general.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Is it's like
Well, that's like saying like,
everything is so broad and
Yeah.
we make it so simple,
Mhm.
right? Like, oh, well, which type were you using,
Mhm.
right? You have to get that.
we don't even do that with alcohol.
No.
Like alcohol, different types of alcohol change people drastically.
Yep.
And like we don't acknowledge that. It's just like, oh, it's alcohol.
Well, you always hear the old like an old grandmother would be like, "Oh, your grandfather's drinking the such and such again. He'll
Yep.
be like this."
Yep.
It's like, well, he doesn't get like that when he drinks beer,
No.
right? But if he's drinking the fire water,
Yeah.
right? Like it's there's always that one type that was
Yeah.
extra potent for
Yeah.
some reason, and
Big
it was
time.
never really clear why.
Well, but like, oh man, this is again where I think we'll get into this stuff as we develop our language for it. But like right now, it just feels very.
I don't know if we
infuriating.
will.
Yeah, of course we will.
I don't know because I think we're getting farther and farther away from nuance.
Sure, but I'm just
And when
saying
the
that
communist
like
We're just
government
painting
takes
broad
over,
strokes.
there's less
When
and
China-
less room for this stuff.
when China takes over,
Yeah.
We're just going like this. Okay, we got this one big envelope here, one big envelope here. There's like 8 million things happening
Are
in
these
it.
envelopes of mushrooms or
Sure. Well, mushrooms even.
Yeah.
We'll just say mushrooms, and that's when you say mushrooms. What my mind goes to is like goofy kids eating them and being,
Yeah.
Yeah.
and that's the problem. That's not a good image.
yeah, not tech billionaires using it for their
That's
own.
not. Yes, that's not a good image.
Yeah.
Though it makes it seem unattractive.
Well, that's their whole idea with marketing, right? But the reason I say that is because Canada, in terms of the weed market, is a good example of developing language. Because what it was before the legalization was like, well, hey, I want to get some weed. What kind is it? I don't know. Now all of a sudden you go in there and you've got an Apple Store person helping you,
Yeah.
and they go, "Well, what would you like from your weed?"
Yeah.
And they can talk about the different
What's
terpenes
your level of
and
experience?
the chemical compounds. Like we're understanding that it's not just THC and CBD. We've got CBDN, we've got CBDG, we've got all these different chemicals that we're defining language for. And all I'm saying is, with technology, redefining language is what seems to happen. And I think that we'll slowly get into that field as well. Like I saw some prepackaged stuff that is going to be eventually available for mushroom consumption when it gets to its legal status. I've seen one that's ahead of it, and it talks about different ingredients that are used within the capsule.
Like some inhibitor stuff.
Yeah, to help make what it does better and what it does longer, all within one capsule.
Baby.
And it was one of
It's
those
probably
like,
got some 5-HTP in
Yeah.
there. It's probably
and
got
it was
a
like
few of the
dosage directions on the packaging in terms of what you can expect from each. And it was like, I was like, oh, this is unbelievable.
It's probably got something to settle your stomach a little bit too. It's
Yeah.
probably got a whole bunch of like psilocybin.
Well, because they
experience
treat it like anything.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like you have to develop the product to make your product stand out, and it'll be that for all these things. And
Yeah.
I just think that like we're going to get to a place, hopefully, that we have a better vocabulary with these substances. That's my hope, because like you can take, like what he said, if the Joe average takes that mushroom and they have a negative time on that.
Oh, that last batch I had where they're super strong. They're a little bit negative. They feel a little bit doom and gloom.
What I
they'll
would
make your
like
stomach a bit
is
sore.
to get.
That'll scare you off them.
What I would like is to get to where it's not, we're going to take a mushroom, we're going to take a pill, like, doctors will prescribe you antidepressants.
Yeah.
And you can talk freely about it, and it's like, it's not taboo at all.
Oh, we're getting
Right?
there.
We're close to that.
That seems to me that we should already be there.
Yeah.
And the problem with calling it mushrooms, calling it weed, all that shit,
Well, it's because
is
now
it
they're calling
still
it
marries
psilocybin.
it to heroin and meth and other.
Yeah, street drugs.
Mhm.
You know what I mean? Like
Yeah.
it's putting it in a bad category for no particular reason.
Well, that's why, like, if you go
And the
into
people who don't invest in this to understand won't make that distinction.
but you'll see it in the language too.
Mhm.
Like in these stores, they're not weed shops; they're marijuana dispensaries.
And they need to be.
And
Yeah.
you pick by strain, and they're not using the same street names that they would have. They're having to repackage them so they're more digestible to Joe average, and it'll be the same for mushrooms, because it'll be like, okay, you have psilocybin, and then all the other ingredients that
See,
change their
psilocybin
characteristics.
sounds way better.
Yeah,
Oh
Like
yeah.
it sounds clean.
Yeah.
Mhm.
You know what I mean?
Well,
Like it
it's just
doesn't have
like-
that dirty.
I still feel the day though
phraseology.
where the common dose of psilocybin is synthetic psilocybin. Like I do like the naturopathy of it all, where
Mhm.
you're like, oh yeah, I'm eating an actual mushroom.
Yeah.
That was either picked in the forest naturally, or maybe grown on a mushroom farm of some kind.
But
it's
isn't it
still a
strange
real-
how a term can be like mishandled to the point where it's like you can't have it anymore?
well, not necessarily. That's happened a lot.
You
I know,
also-
I know, but
Buddhists
it's like
have
it's
that,
a word. It's just a sound that we make.
Yeah.
You also have a different
And it-
relationship
it
with
be-
the word mushroom than I do.
No, not me.
Societally.
I mean,
Yeah,
I'm not
societally.
saying me. It doesn't
Yeah, if you said-
disgust me.
If you said magic mushrooms to my parents,
right,
whole
this is
different
what I'm
ballgame.
He said
saying.
magic mushrooms to me 5 years ago.
So you
I'd be
have
like,
to
"What
tell
are you
them
saying?"
your parents might be the word psilocybin, even if they understand it's the same thing, may hurt
Right.
them less to hear that
Right.
than mushroom.
Yeah, and
Yeah.
that
Like that's a strange thing to me. If you can be saying the same thing with a different word and it comes across better with that other word,
well, that's
it's
like
the same
our,
goddamn thing.
but we like every word has our projected this is again coming back to that
cultural
feelings
connotation.
thing. Well, no,
Let
it's
me-
a
let me ask you
feeling
a
around
question.
it, right?
Mental exercise here. Get rid of the term marijuana. Don't
Okay.
even think about weed.
Mm-hmm.
Get rid of any of the pot.
Now it's
Get
just,
off.
Now it's just cannabis.
Toss it out. Don't even call it
The
cannabis.
THC and CBD.
No phraseology.
No language.
None of the old terms. Get rid of all of them, and now introduce it to someone with the name. I don't know, sweater vest, whatever, anything.
That's the wrong name.
Monkey beard. I don't know.
Okay.
Anything,
Okay, I like
whatever
that.
you want. Just anything that hasn't been tainted with that connotation,
Mm-hmm.
and then present it and explain what it does.
Mhm.
and imagine how much more palatable it is.
Yeah. The
Without
rose by
any of
any
that.
a rose by any other name.
You
kind of
almost
thing.
have to get rid of the baggage.
Mm-hmm.
And the baggage isn't even its own fault. Like, it's not even the chemical's fault. It's how we have beaten it up over the years.
Well, and this is probably one of the problems with the policing of language, because since things have a connotation historically, we view them in their current use as like kind of irredeemable a little bit.
Yeah.
Because like if you want to start talking about weed, like, and the connotations that go historically with it, like the amount of problems societally that have been created simply because of our misviewing
Yep.
of a substance is insane. The amount of
Yep.
lives destroyed, the amount of people in prison for absolutely
That's
no
the
reason.
big
I
one,
just
man.
think that word is done. You can't have that word and sell it to some people will never buy weed.
Well, okay, so you either take that and you try and rename it to give it something that doesn't carry all those connotations, or you recognize that those connotations exist and move on.
And go strong with it.
Well, not even go strong with it, but just, like,
Ignore the detractors.
no, you just got to know that it happened.
Mm.
Like, you can't constantly be like, well, no, we can't use
Well, this
that
is
thing
the
because
argument.
of
We're having this in all aspects right now, where we have
Yeah.
shady
Yeah.
parts of our history that we can either pander to forever or
Yeah.
move on with.
Do we cancel this word?
But here's
Or
the
do we
thing:
just
we
learn
can't-
what it really means?
We are doing that.
Yeah,
Though.
we sure
We're
freaking are.
pandering to everyone who we've ever wronged,
Don't worry.
and we're
soon,
sorry to everyone.
soon the King, Queen, Jack in the normal 52 deck of cards will get canceled. Don't you worry.
But we
it's
can't.
patriarchal.
I think we can't make progress as long as we're in the past trying to make up for it. Like as long as we spend all of our energy going, we're so sorry about this, but we also would like to move on. Can you please come with us?
like, but I also think that like something that will be helpful in that is like,
More psychedelics.
We keep
Always.
coming back to
I don't
this
wanna
one.
beat
Kevin
a
is
dead
here
horse.
from Big Psychedelics.
a message from
He's a
our
plant.
He invested in a sea can full of LSD a few
Yeah,
months back.
exactly. I'm just
He
waiting,
just really needs
waiting
to
for
move
my
it.
investment to vest.
That's right.
What would be enough of an apology to get people to go, okay, now we can move on?
I don't think.
That's not our culture. Our culture now isn't looking for a way to move on. Our culture is looking for a way to give actual reparation, which it's hard to do
Because
for
like,
generations
we're not
old
good
atrocities.
at healing we're not good at healing as a society.
Well, especially
in
not when
general.
social media frickin' exists.
No, I know. Well, it incentivizes us to be upset.
That's right. Well,
Right? There's
it
cash value in it.
It algorithmizes us to be
Well,
upset.
If you have a bad experience somewhere, you get a bump if you share that with
Mhm.
other people, because other people will like and give you attention
Mhm.
for your negativity towards a business, for example.
Yep.
Like if you get a bad tattoo,
Oh, look, I shared something mean and got 400 likes.
if you get a bad
Well, it's-
tattoo by Scott today, theoretically,
Mhm.
and then you go and you
I mean,
fucking
we can if you
you
like.
tear them
Let's
apart,
do it.
you tear them apart online, and then all of a
Left-handed.
sudden you get a big bump for it.
Left-handed tattoos.
Yeah. And then it's like, yeah, that came at the cost of Scott and everyone at this shop, and really at the cost of everyone interacting with that post, if you ask me.
But
Yep.
you got a little dopamine rush.
Right.
And that's what we learned here.
Yeah.
Well, you're also giving the you're sharing that there's an enemy that isn't you.
Mm-hmm.
Like,
Like,
yeah,
hey,
go
look
get
at this
this
thing.
guy.
Go point your rage at
Yeah.
this thing, and like that. Historically, we did that to people. Like,
What's interesting
they
to
get
me
ran
is
out of
how it goes quickly from, oh, that guy did a bad tattoo. Oh, that guy didn't care about his job. Oh, that guy doesn't care about anything. Oh, that guy's a monster. Oh, fuck that guy. I will kill that guy. Like,
Yeah.
it gets really crazy really fast.
Mhm.
yeah, but like,
But people love a good common enemy.
Yeah.
yeah, it
And
gives
So
they
you
all
should
of a
some
sudden, Scott's
safety.
got a
Yeah.
fucking mob on Facebook.
Yeah.
That's right. That's right.
It's like, what the fuck happened there?
But I mean,
I thought I did a good tattoo. She thanked me. I guess not.
Guess I shouldn't have put so many dicks in it. Darn it.
I did hide some dicks in there.
Yeah.
this is flowers entirely dicks.
It's a fucking forest of penises.
Yeah.
What were you expecting to happen? Even us the next week. God damn it, Scott. That had too many penises. We said one at the most.
Max.
Now you get a whole fucking mob after
Yeah.
you.
Penis
There-
mob.
There's only one time I accidentally made something a bit too phallic.
Uh-oh.
And it was a 3D mushroom tattoo, and ironically,
A three-dick mushroom
the dude's last name is Cock.
Uh-oh.
Oh, he's a great friend of the shop. It's
Yep.
fine.
It was
Um,
hilarious.
it wa-
could
it
not
was
have happened to a
hilarious.
better person.
Yeah,
Mm.
exactly.
Yeah, he's great.
He asked for a mushroom tattoo. I drew him some sick, a pair of sweet mushrooms, tattooed it on him, good to go. 2 days later, he's like, you know what?
This
I
looks
see
like
a dick in here.
Yep.
I'm not proud of that moment, but I'm also not upset it happened.
Yeah, no, that was like it
So-
meant to be.
Let me ask you a question. The
Mhm.
whole hiding a dick in a tattoo thing,
Mhm.
where does that come from? Because
be
that's been a
anything.
joke forever. Like, as long as I'm getting tattooed, it's been like, you're putting dicks in there, aren't you? Whenever someone was working on something you can't see, it's always like,
I feel
you're
like it
drawing
came
dicks.
from middle school.
Yeah.
Well, maybe, but like, I'm wondering if that's happened in tattoos a lot.
Well, I think you can tattoo a lot of things that end up kind of looking like dicks.
Also, when you're overseas, anything that's Hindu or Buddhist or even some Mayan temples,
Mhm.
most old art in the form of sculpture is super phallic.
Yeah, it is.
Yeah.
So I think our Homo sapien
Well, the penis is a sign
evolution-
of strength, right?
Oh, it will strengthen
And
reproduction,
strength,
right? Like
masculinity.
humans,
Fertility.
humans,
Yeah.
humans' goals, humans striving toward immortality, often lies in their reproduction. So reproduction has played a huge cultural role in
I
pretty
think
much every
penises
culture.
are only so controversial now, too, in our society.
Yeah.
Because it's like we have such a thing against,
Well,
like, pro-sex, right?
back when rape was common fare, penises weren't as scary.
Well,
I
I'm
think.
not.
I don't
I'm
know.
not saying we need to go back to
What?
the rapey times.
No,
Yeah.
we sure don't.
But what I'm getting at is like we only have such an aversion to penises and nipples and vaginas in particular because we're so sterile now
Mhm.
on the face of things. Yet we're more deviant than we've been since the Roman times right now, for
Yep.
fuck's sake.
Yep.
We are very, very deviant, but
Mhm.
we're all very like, oh, well, I wouldn't. You
Yeah,
know,
we're
it's all
deviant
like-
yet whitewashed.
we
at the
all
same
pretend
time.
that we don't have penises, for Christ's
Yeah.
sake. They're all around us. There's 3 of them in this room.
Parents can't admit to their children that they've had sex more than once. You know, like how if you open that conversation with the people in your life, you might not be surprised, but most people have had very little communication about sex with their parents in their entire life.
Hmm. That's what school's for.
Well, so in
Well,
my
why-
Give you
I-
sex ed.
I mean, people get weird about it.
in the
Yeah.
religion I grew up in, I wasn't allowed to have sex ed.
Yeah, I know.
So I had to go hang out in the library while sex ed was happening.
I think
And-
like we could probably just say religion is accountable for most of our
most
issue with this.
ignorance.
Well, like because back in the day, I mean, even with Judaism, like they were having sex through sheets, like they were cutting a hole in the sheet because they like the whole idea
Sex
of
only for
sex was only
procreation.
for procreation. It was like
Yeah.
2 times a month you could have sex, and like that stuff just kind of carries over. Although I will say, like Europe doesn't have the same kind of hang up that we do.
Depends
So,
on which parts of Europe.
gonna
I'd
Dude, we
say.
watched this show on the BBC. It's
Yeah.
like wild. It's called Naked Attraction.
Yeah.
It's insane. It is like so it's-
Varying degrees is how I would figure.
okay.
Varying
So
degrees of problematic sexual stuff. Like, depending on where you are in the world, it's more or less reserved.
oh yeah, I mean obviously
There are parts of Europe that are probably more conservative than
Mhm.
North America.
I don't know. Like what part would you assume?
I don't know off the top of my head.
That's fair.
So I forget what piece of literature it was in, but quite recently, it was either a podcast or a book I'm listening to.
Sure.
But it spoke of someone visiting North America early when it was settled, like back when they're still calling it the New World, right? And he was excited to return back to the UK, where people were less hedonistic sexually. So allegedly,
Hmm.
from that author or from that person's experience, North America was actually more loose sexually than
I think we
UK
were
and
like
Europe.
we got to be the most deviant in North America. Like,
Why?
our interests have got to be.
Have you met the Germans?
The thing that
Yeah.
happens is what happens is the more repressed you are.
Yeah.
Actually, I bet Germans are super repressed. I don't
Well,
know.
here's the thing: we all walk around like we are very conservative people, but we have so much like kink and fetish in North America that people don't talk about.
Yeah.
Like, it's insane how much weird porn there is.
Yeah.
It's being made in America.
Yeah, and like for every weird porn,
Now, there's a lot of weird
there's
stuff
a
being
market
made in
for it.
Japan and Germany too. I don't
Oh,
want to say
yeah.
that anything about that, but
Yeah,
So
Japanese especially.
Greece is where the highest percentage of adults have sex at least once a week. Now this is
yeah,
of course
but
just the
what's
most
that sex like?
Yeah.
How do you even figure that out? How do you even scale that?
Well,
Who's
you
having the
can't.
most fucking twisted or
Who answers
interesting-
polls?
Yeah, exactly.
That's
Who
always what I
answers
thought. Do you
poll?
think the
I've
people
never
that are-
answered a poll like this.
Yeah, like do you think the people that are like really having wild sex are also have the time to?
Well, on Wednesdays I have wild sex, and on Thursdays I answer polls.
Yeah, like that makes no sense. I always thought that like who
Who
are these people?
Yeah.
Who are these people that are answering these things, and why are they?
Are
why
they
are
even
they all
real?
like? Why is this the
I always
survey?
see
Just
these things on like Facebook, like fans have once again voted so and so the most popular Avenger. I'm like,
Yeah.
who are these fans?
Yeah.
When did this happen?
Dude, I'm just
Who was
realizing.
asked?
I'm just realizing, like, even with the comment thing, like, if it's not a friend of mine, I'm not commenting anything ever on anyone's stuff. Why would I comment? Why? What possible purpose would I have to comment on anything?
Instagram.
Anything?
So there's a reason to comment on
The
Instagram.
rubs. We've
No,
talked
I know,
about this.
I know,
Yeah,
I know
the
the
algorithm.
You
logical
gotta play the
algorithmic
algorithm.
thing for sure.
Someday you're gonna be a tattoo artist. You gotta play the freaking algorithm.
I know.
You
And
got to
don't
play
worry,
the game if you want to.
You might hate it as much as I do, because I loathe the situation.
It's like we had a
Yeah,
guy
I'll probably-
comment on
I'll
our
probably
video
pawn it
yesterday,
off
right?
people to do.
He said literally commenting for the algorithm.
Yeah,
Bump.
yeah, I saw that.
That's the smartest comment that someone could leave because it's very sterile,
Yeah.
right?
No
like,
kidding.
but it's honest because that's the way the algorithm is, and it
Yeah.
shouldn't be that
'Cause
way.
I just scroll through and say, "Hey, super rad bright
There-
colors. Hey,
there
that's
are-
nice
yeah.
and sharp."
There
Hey.
are some types of content that are created that are hard to say anything about, but that doesn't
Yep.
mean they're not good.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Like, it's hard to say something 10 times in a row on the same style of tattoo.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Like with
But I still do it
right. So like
because I have to.
you got to go, "Hey man, great work today," or "Hey man, this is so cool," right? And what's understood between you and the person you're commenting on is not necessarily what you said, it's that you're supporting them. Sometimes the words don't even matter
Yeah,
anymore,
yeah.
which is absolutely insane because this is not a normal way to communicate.
Nope.
No.
But what you're communicating
you
is, "Hey
mean-
man, I've got your back."
Yeah.
You mean coercion and obligation are not natural communication styles?
But at the same time, I'm not going to comment on someone's
The audio listeners can't hear your head shake.
Yeah, well, at the same time, I'm not going to comment on someone's stuff if I don't like them.
Right.
So
right.
the intention of the comment is almost like a greater like.
And they don't care what you say. You're giving them engagement,
Yep.
which helps their algorithm, right?
And I
So
think
it's
that
a
we
weird
need to just,
handshake.
there's a lot of people who don't understand these things
No.
and what's actually happening. So it's really hard to communicate with someone who doesn't have that similar understanding.
Yeah, man, but this is like something that we just have as like inefficiencies like within language and our society. It's like we can't convey more than what we can convey. Like we have a very inefficient system of delineating information because you can't have any context, you can't have any history along with what you're saying. And that stuff boggles my mind, man. Like we have this I don't know. I feel like we need a better way of talking, and I feel like we're getting worse ways of talking.
Of course we are.
Yeah.
But, and this is where a lot of the time my communication is just emojis now.
Yeah, I
like-
feel like an emoji gives you a lot more.
Well, and you'll have the old guard who, if you use an emoji, they almost get annoyed.
Yeah.
Where it's like, "What are you, 15?" It's like, "No, this is hieroglyphics for 2021.
Yeah.
That's what this
modern
is.
hieroglyphics. Yeah.
This translates to all languages."
Yeah.
And sorry if you don't like the image of the smiling guy here or the
Mhm.
guy with the devil horns or whatever the fuck it is.
Yep.
but this is what we're doing now.
Yeah.
And they convey more than a word will even,
Yeah.
which is odd because you'd think that we would be getting more nuance, not less.
Well, it depends what you mean by more nuance, not less. Like, it seems like less, but what we're doing is we've all agreed on certain things to go along with it. You know what I mean? Like, we've all agreed that, like, by giving the clapping hands emoji, you're being thankful or you're giving praise.
This
It's
one.
like sure. You know what I
Yeah,
mean?
yeah.
Like,
I use that a lot.
we've as a society, whether it's intentional or not, we've all decided that that's its meaning because that's its use, right? Whereas like now we're having a hard time with certain words because of their use.
Well, I've said this before. It's like if I said to Scott, "Hey, Scott, you fucker," it can mean
Yeah.
I'm happy to see him.
Yep.
Hey, Scott, you fucker, I want to go slug him, right?
Yeah.
Now, so in text, you can't necessarily see the difference.
No.
But if I put a heart at the end of "Hey, Scott, you fucker," it means obviously I like this guy.
Yep.
But if I put like a fucking angry face or something, right, it means
Middle
I'm
finger.
angry.
Something.
The power of emojis is real.
Also
Yeah.
interesting how the eggplant is the dick of them all.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I know. And
That's
the
a weird
peach-
one.
The peach and the eggplant will get you fucked for a while. Like if you put a peach or an eggplant on your, like there was deep in the Instagram influencer community, it was like, don't use these emojis because Instagram has flagged them.
Yeah, of
Really?
course.
I'm not even kidding about that.
No way.
There's a lot of that stuff. And
Huh.
there's certain hashtags that will immediately keep your posts from reaching anyone too.
But this is what I'm saying. Like,
I should
why?
read this stuff.
Because of its use. In society, we've all agreed the eggplant's a dick. So therefore, since we all have that societal agreement, they can go, oh well, we got to downplay the eggplants.
I'll give you a little tip,
Apparently.
Scott, because you say you'd like some social media tips sometimes.
Just write the word eggplant.
I have stopped using hashtags altogether, but
What?
I haven't used
hashtags are
hashtags.
so inefficient now.
I haven't used hashtags since May. I'm not recommending you do that, but
Unless you have a specific purpose.
what I am trying to say is check your hashtags always, even after you post, because sometimes what can happen is a hashtag you've been using fairly regularly that seems innocuous can become problematic and then keep your posts from being seen by anyone.
Oh my goodness.
So,
really?
like, for example, I used to use quite often when I would do a topless shot, I would use chest tattoo.
Mhm.
At some point, that became overridden with spam and garbage, and they banned the hashtag. So now any posts that I would use that hashtag in became hidden from the
Yeah.
public because it was
No
seen as
way.
garbage.
Of course.
So that's
'Cause
this is part of why I stopped using hashtags, because one time I went back to a post and I was like, why didn't this work? And two different hashtags that I've been using for years were suddenly, seemingly overnight, they were banned. They were
See,
banned
that's
hashtags.
Like I actually sent you a screenshot the other day where I put up this face tattoo that was like super cool. I was super stoked on
nice
it. It's the kind of
tattoos.
thing that's
Yep.
eye catching. It should get lots of traction.
Yeah, that should be an explore page.
It got
piece.
like 30 likes.
Mhm.
No
Problem
one
with
saw
that
it.
is oversaturation.
You think?
Not on your part, like you didn't
Oh, yeah, of
oversaturate
course.
the image. What I'm saying is that there's a lot of tattoos that are getting shared every day.
Mm-hmm.
And unless you already have a huge groundswell,
Right.
you got nothing to push that out there.
Mhm.
Doesn't matter how cool your tattoo is.
Yeah.
It's hard to gain traction. That's
Right.
where it's hard to grow when you're small.
That's
This is one of the things that drives me nuts about this policing to push things ahead and keep things down, because like back in the day, if you had cool stuff got out.
It's like my naked picture. I've told you this is a perfect example. It does not matter how many shares that got.
Yep.
It has 8,900 shares right now. It never touched Explore
Wow.
because
This
it
is
was,
the thing that drives me insane. It's
and,
like
and yet that picture of me just smiling with my arms crossed the other day
Yeah.
has been on Explore all week.
Yeah.
And it's not even. I didn't even like that photo.
Yeah.
It was like, wow, this will do whatever.
I just like
Got more exposure than that picture of me with my full body blackout.
Yeah.
Do you think that was a better image? Fuck no. It
No.
wasn't a better image and it shouldn't have trended. Instagram is all politics and understanding that.
Weird.
it just drives me nuts that it's like, you know, we are all these things kind of base, or like they seem to start in terms of like this almost libertarian way of capitalism or
Yeah.
something like that, like where it's like, oh, we have this new marketplace and it's unrestricted, so you have this freedom to have unlimited growth as long as your content is quality, right?
I'll tell you what, it's not necessarily about that at all. There's a girl I know who's not very good looking, doesn't have good tattoos, she's semi well tattooed. Like she's got piece, every visible area, there's like one piece. There's no sleeving or anything like that going on. She's not in the best shape. She's not a great looking girl. Her photo quality isn't amazing. And I've
This girl's
been
really taking a beating.
no.
Poor girl.
She's a nice person.
Yeah.
But she's blown up over the last year from like 10K to over 200K.
Oof.
Cool.
And she has nothing particularly amazing about her. And at times it's been a learning experience and also infuriating for me to watch this happen, because I'm like, how is this possible? And when I study her page, what I realize is it's only possible because she isn't that amazing at anything. She's very, very palatable to a large variety of people.
Right.
And Instagram recognizes this. She's palatable to high school girls, high school boys, 30-year-old men, 50-year-old men, 30-year-old women, 50-year-old men or women, people who
men
like
again.
tattoos, people who are on the fence about tattoos, people who like pretty girls, girls who aren't that pretty, right? Girls that are a little overweight because she's not in the best shape, girls that are super overweight because they're seeing her as body positive. Like she's got so many people who could find her
So she's
content appealing.
Broad marketing.
Very, very broad. And I don't think she realizes it.
Probably
I
not.
think she probably thinks it's because she's doing something very, very right.
Yeah, I think most people
And she
would think that.
is, but it's
That's
not.
the thing is, in the end, you still described her brand.
It's,
You know, she
it
still-
just
she still
appeals
has a
to
brand.
so many demographics.
Exactly.
Because it's not pulling in any hard directions.
Mhm.
It's not too many tattoos for the average person, but it's enough tattoos for the tattooed people, right? She's not too good looking to look unrelatable, right? She's not in too good shape to seem or like you couldn't attain her, right? She's very, very palatable, right? Anyone could possibly know this girl or talk to this girl. She's not out of reach for any one person that I can imagine.
Yep.
And that makes her very, very easy to spread, because it's like Kevin could double tap, Scott could double tap, I could double tap. Literally anyone I could think of I could see liking this image. Whereas with me, I could see any number of people objecting to my image.
Right.
Right? It makes it so that I have to be really hitting it with the body mod people to spread. And if I lose those people, I got nothing.
Right.
Yeah.
All right. And I have to work really, really hard for the average person to double tap my picture.
Yeah.
So she doesn't have to work that hard for any of those people to. So sometimes broad appeal trumps anything else you can do. Being very average can be a superpower. Because we always think of the only way to spread is to be so unique, doing something so well and so perfect that you'll get shared and people will love you, right? But sometimes what's better is being the super ordinary, right? The best ordinary.
Man, that's wild.
It's wild because it must be so hard to become the it for that. Because
Yeah.
imagine how many averages there are,
That's the trick.
right?
That's the trick.
But sometimes you just ride a wave. Like something goes right for you and then it just takes off. And that's what I've seen with her. She went from 10,000 followers to over 200K in under a year. It's
crazy.
absolutely insane. Once it starts, it seems like it doesn't stop, too, the growth. Once you hit that uphill motion, it just seems to keep going.
Yeah, it's like with money.
Like it's crazy.
Yeah,
You
yeah.
go from
Goodness.
pittering around to just and then it's like, well, she'll be $1 million in 2 years if she keeps going.
Well, that's why like this kind of brings me back to like just different currencies. Like,
Social currency, yeah.
everything is the same.
But it can become real currency for her. Can guarantee you.
Yeah.
Well, it can.
If
as
she
long
plays
as-
her cards right,
But like here's the problem that I don't really know what to do with. Like if you have someone that's like too like vanilla, I guess, because that's
How do
what
you
you're
mar-
saying,
How
right?
do you
Like,
market that?
Very, very much.
How
Well,
do you get people to pay actual money for vanilla?
here's what you do. You get all kinds of different brands that you're working with,
Mm-hmm.
and they all pay you a certain percentage. And my question is, for this girl to be a financial success and be a part of so many people's lives daily, say she has 1 million followers, and say 20% of those people are liking her posts,
mhm.
how much of a stretch is it to give her a living wage for that? How much happiness does she provide incrementally to all these people that she deserves to make money off of that?
They each need to give her 10 cents a year
Right.
for her to make her 100
Or
grand.
a smaller percentage of her following needs to pay $30 a t-shirt or something.
Right.
But like
right.
what I'm getting at
It's
is,
like the Mug a Month
is
Club or
she
something.
providing enough quality of life to that many people on a broad scale incrementally to deserve a living wage doing just that?
My only thing is
Now
that,
we're
like,
getting into a different.
I'm saying like this is an argument that I've made to myself.
Right.
At what point are you doing enough for a community that it warrants a paycheck?
I think we need way less entertainers.
I agree with that.
Yeah. To if we want to raise our lifestyle, we need to prioritize where our money goes a bit
But this is
differently.
the new celebrity.
Oh yeah, welcome to the future.
This is how celebrity is being made now. I've spoken about this before. We are in a sense with influencers deciding and ranking celebrity, right? We get to
Yep.
choose with our likes and comments and shares who is going to be more famous tomorrow.
Mm-hmm.
so here's my question. If you're a person that's, because I always think of this in terms of like, if you're talking profession, career, sustainability, blah, 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 blah. Because like when I was in, when I was doing music, we went down to Nashville to record a record.
Yeah.
And I remember being down there and I got to work with some really crazy talented musicians like Kid Rock's slide player played on our record for $50.
Yeah.
And like he was there for a couple hours, hung out, had to load all his gear,
making $20 an hour.
and he was $50, yeah.
That's insane.
But it's not in their world. In their world, Nashville is this thing of a group of people that want to do this always.
Right.
And when you want to do something always, you want to be able to live. I view these people, a lot of these people in terms of these avenues, as wanting to get enough money to stop doing the thing.
Right.
And because like our industry is a good example of that, like you want to keep doing the thing.
Mm-hmm.
And if you want to keep doing the thing, your access to money or like the amount of money that you would need to make it so you'd be down to do this more is a lot less than the person that wants to do a YouTube channel, to be a YouTuber, to make a few $1 million and then stop doing YouTube because it takes so much work.
Mm-hmm.
See, my mind's on this stuff is not like that at all. I want to be doing this forever. This is whether it makes money or not. I want to be doing social media stuff forever, but with the mindset that there's a potential that I could make money doing it.
But this is what I mean. Like all of a sudden for you, since you want to keep doing it, your idea of money is different.
Mm-hmm.
You're like, because you're basically like whether or not you're at a place of
Oh, I got a guy this
sustainability
morning
or
that asked me if he can advertise on my page for his UFC, or not his UFC fight. They have a different type of UFC in
Yep.
some other country.
Mhm.
He's like, "Oh, I'm having a fight. How much for advertisement?" I'm like, "I don't even know if I'm going to take this."
Yeah.
Because like I don't know if that marries to me. You know, I'm not.
$6,000.
I mean, I don't like. I get these all the time where it's
Yeah.
like, is it worth it for that amount of money?
well, they think it is.
Right.
But this is what I'm meaning. Like you have two different types of person because like there's a lot of people that talk about wanting to do a thing, and it's usually not because they want to do the thing. It's they want to do the thing to a point where they don't have to do the thing anymore.
Yeah.
It's like this idea of like, oh man, I wish I could be a pop star. No, you don't. Because if you did, you'd be doing it. You wouldn't have to like the money wouldn't be the thing or the fame or the success because what they view it as is like, oh man, sweet, because then I'll have all the money and I can kind of do whatever I want. If you're doing whatever you want, you'll do that for 30 grand a year.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
and that's I guess what I'm driving at is like, for you, a modest amount of money for doing the thing that you want is good.
Yep.
You'd be like, sweet, this is awesome. But for maybe her, who gets an instant success of 200,000 followers or whatever, it's probably not as sustainable unless it's something that she actually wants to do.
There's one
That's
girl
that
that I
Gary Vee
know.
always talks about that stuff, where it's like, if you want to do it for free.
There's a girl I know. I don't know her, but I know of her. I've known of her since 2012. Manami Frost. I don't know if you've ever seen this girl, but she was one of the first people I seen with a black arm, and she's got like a white tattoo on her forehead. Anyway, this girl has stayed relevant for this entire time. She's got over 1 million followers on Instagram, and she has a huge YouTube too, which is monetized. And her husband is a tattoo artist. She owns her own burger chain now. She owns her own clothing line.
Yeah.
She has taken her social media presence and done things with it.
Yeah.
Wow.
And I'm looking at her page like, that's kind of what I want to do, like where you make it into sort of an empire.
Yeah.
Cult of personality, and you use it to build new avenues.
I think it'd be more effective though if you're in a larger city. Like if you're in a city that has 4 million people in it, and you've got like 100,000 of them follow you, then you can start a new business, and you have 100,000 potential customers that are local that you're advertising to through your social media, and they don't just see you as an advertiser; they see you as a friend. They've gotten to know you through your media, and now you start a business. They are quite likely to patronize you, where actual media would not incentivize
That's
them
what I
that way.
was telling you on one of our earliest podcasts is people see the number of following I have, and it's not like that's here in town.
No,
That's
no, good.
like a
it's
pocket of
globally.
people in each
But
country. You know what I
you've
mean?
got 5 or 10 grand here in town.
Probably, but like what I'm getting at is those people aren't necessarily going to support you in your endeavors. Look how hard it has been to get those people onto YouTube,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
And my quality of following is actually quite strong.
Yeah.
Mhm.
So like if you had a weaker following, that's even less.
Yeah. Your opportunity goes
While we're
way
talking
away.
Right.
social media, the one thing I want to say is that when you spot the next up and coming Instagram or social media app that's going to be relevant to tattooing, let me know so I
Yeah.
can get on it at the ground floor.
100%.
Because like that's the thing is
If I thought TikTok was going to do anything for
TikTok's
tattooing, I'd
not
be
good
on
for
it.
tattooing
Yeah.
Same.
because a lot of time tattoo content gets taken down.
Yeah.
I've had it myself where I'll have a video go viral on TikTok of someone tattooing me, like even an older one, and it'll be like someone will report it for violence.
Yeah.
So it's not fucking violence. There's nothing violent going on here. Like, but they don't know the nuance.
Yeah.
So that platform's no good for tattoo content.
But what I'm saying is that eventually Instagram will become irrelevant.
Oh, it will.
And something else will become
That's what I
relevant.
say, boys. Like,
And you're gonna notice years
know.
before I do.
Yeah.
Like-
100%. We'll be sitting there on Instagram going like, what is
So even if we're in different bloody countries, just shoot me a, hey Scott, what's going on?
I will.
You might want to get involved
with this.
but like, the deal is not to worry about your numbers. The deal is to become memorable, as I've always said. Do things that people will remember you for specifically. Hey, I wonder what that Remy guy's doing. I bet you he's on this platform.
The week before this last lockdown started, I was tattooing a social media chick. She's like, not that she was an influencer on there, but that's what she does for work. She has she has a personal business where she will help companies with their social media presence. So I drained her for all the information I could. I made her explain algorithms to me. I made her explain what I should be doing personally for my stories, for my posts, for where I should ask a question, where I should put little blips and tags and whatever. And one of the things she told me totally slipped my mind now. I got distracted
Nailed
setting
it.
up, and now I forget what it's.
Yeah, there's a lot of
That's okay.
setup, and then
Yeah,
Zero payoff.
yeah. Zero
She
payoff.
said something.
And this is why I'm quitting weed for a week. This is day one.
Good luck with that.
Yeah, I do good.
Yeah, I know. I'm just saying.
that's like
Good luck.
one hell of a good romp, and then no orgasm.
Yeah.
That's right,
Like,
exactly.
no
best,
all pump.
best foreplay.
Yeah. Turns out I
Holy
can't
shit.
come. Huh.
Shit. Well, I'm rock hard, but I got nothing in the tank.
Yeah, yeah. Oh, goodness.
So, very quickly, do you guys care about the people going on vacations that are having to lose their jobs now from our government?
I think it's
I think it's great entertainment.
It's definitely great entertainment.
I-
But were you mad
I don't
that
give a
people
fuck.
went on vacations?
You know what? A little bit. I think it's pretty stupid to fucking go
I
to
think
Hawaii
what they're
right
doing
now.
is
like what
the same
fuck
thing
are
I've
you
been
doing?
saying all the time, and it's the same thing that happened with Trump when he beat COVID in 3 days.
I guess
it can't be that big of a fucking deal if you're going on vacation in the middle of it and you're telling us all to stay at home.
But
What kind of a narrative are we pushing
what I'm trying
here?
to say
Well,
is
nobody
if you're in government, you should stand behind the fucking economy and say like, hey, the sooner we stop spreading this thing, the better.
Well,
is
you
going
can't
to a
have
different
it both
country
ways.
a risk?
If you want us to believe this is so serious, you have to act like it too.
Yeah.
'Cause
Yeah.
This is the same thing I said about when Donald Trump is president. If you're not taking it seriously, and he wasn't, what kind of a precedent are you setting?
My concept is I'm not mad they went to Hawaii, but I think if someone's that stupid, my taxes shouldn't pay for them their
Well,
wages.
it's
that's
just
gonna
for
be a-
me,
that's
it's
gonna be a lot of
confusing
government.
narrative. It's a
Yeah.
very confusing narrative. Because how do you want us to care about it, but you don't?
Yeah.
Well, okay, so I'll the Hawaii thing, they test you before you leave. You have to have a clear test to leave. That you land, you get tested.
I'm
You
not.
leave,
I don't
you-
care about any
so,
of that.
but what I'm
I don't know,
saying is
a
like,
ton of people sat alone for Christmas this year,
Yeah.
social
Yeah.
distance, and here these people are flying to a different country trying to infect
it's
an
just,
island.
It's just really hypocritical.
yeah.
of course it is.
Like I don't care. Like
There are people. They are people of privilege.
Yeah.
Like people of privilege take advantage of these situations all the time.
It's wealthy people who think they're fucking special.
Yeah.
And that's
Well,
not
but
what
what
a
else
public
is
servant
new
should look like.
is
Yeah, I
For
know.
sure. What
I
else
agree.
is new?
That's
I
why I
mean,
think government sucks.
it
So
is
it's not,
what it
They're not
is.
public servants.
So I'm not mad about it, but I think they should lose their fucking job, you idiot.
I just think that like this is what we have. Why did anyone expect anything different?
I didn't expect anything different. I mean, I'm surprised we found out about all of it.
Personally,
Yeah, I
I revel
guess.
in the chaos.
But because it's
Yeah, no, I
always
get
a bit
Yeah.
of do as I say, not as I do.
yeah.
We know this, but at
Mhm.
the same time, it makes it hard for them to expect the layman to follow rules that they are publicly breaking.
Yeah.
Like it's really confusing storytelling.
Yeah.
You want me to what? You're not even doing that.
Well, that's because like I think people that govern view themselves as outside of the populace.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Like you see that with California, Gavin Newsom. It's
Oh
like,
my
well, all
goodness.
your vineyards are shut down, but not mine.
Yeah.
All the restaurants are shut down, except for I'm going to ask you guys to open because I want to have a party.
yeah.
Like they view themselves as better than, or different than, at least. Not necessarily better than.
I'm voting for public execution to come back into play. Like when someone
Oh.
when someone that's on public dime
Sure.
does something so ridiculous, why don't we draw in court of them?
I'm
I think that you get into Lord of the Flies territory
pretty
with that.
quickly.
I'm okay with it. I'll be the guy riding the horse, dragging them down the street.
Yeah, exactly.
But I always think of politicians
Best
as
spot to
like
be.
Yeah.
in like the Roman times where they come out and they're being carried by 4 people on the big
Yeah.
like
Mhm.
what the hell are those things where they're like on a throne but it's
Yeah.
on like a what is it? It's like a sheet.
Oh,
I know what you're saying.
yeah.
And they're carrying through the public square and
Yeah.
they're being fanned by 2 servants.
yeah.
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 It's like it's not like that anymore, guys.
Nah.
No.
Nah.
And like I don't know. I just think that like eventually, hopefully, we'll look at the government differently. Like we'll start trying because this is a good example of incompetence being dealt with, which I
Yes.
like.
Yes.
I'm a big
I think
fan
it's
of that.
maybe-
Oh, did you lose your job because you did something that's obviously ridiculous?
Yeah,
Well,
but
and the other
that's
thing is
everything.
these people
We
are
should
probably
start
going to
looking
find
at it for everything
these
Yeah.
people are probably going to find other jobs too
within
right
government
away.
for sure. Yeah,
It's
Like the-
illegal
yeah.
for
These
me
are
to go see my
public
close
firings.
friends
Yeah.
in their backyard.
But these
Yeah.
are public firings. Let's be honest. These people are going to get nice, cozy jobs
of
again.
course.
This
Don't
is
be
just to
crazy.
appease the public, right? It's like,
But still, at least put some egg on their face and rub it around. I'm good with that.
I
At
just-
least that.
and government competency needs to be something that we focus on in the future because
yeah.
we are reliant on them now in way more than
More
what we
and more.
wanted.
Mm-hmm.
Like
Mhm.
the fact that Serb had to come into play, any of that stuff. Like we are having to listen to them.
how does
and all
that
of a
work
sudden,
for you, by the way?
in what
You're
way?
on the CRP, right?
Yeah,
How did it end up shaking out?
$500
Well,
a week.
Classic
Now it's like 26
Classic
weeks. You
Kenny,
just keep
though.
extending.
Classic Kenny, our lockdown started
Yeah,
1 week
yeah. Before
into
you
a
could
2-week
file.
pay period.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And ends 1 week in a 2-week pay period.
Yeah, I heard
so,
all about it from all my coworkers.
So I've got 4 weeks off and I get
You-
$1,000.
Yeah, it's pretty
Which is
messed up.
way better than in the US.
Yeah.
So I'm not
yeah.
complaining per se.
but
I
if
hold
this carries on, will you keep getting money?
yeah, $500
Yeah.
a week.
How
Yeah.
long will this last? 26 weeks, you said?
Well, so each person, as I understand it, is entitled to 26 weeks currently. So if you didn't use your 26 weeks, you get as many remaining weeks into that.
And
And
that
then you can go
doesn't
into EI if you want
count
to.
the
I gotta make a
CERB that we
reminder. I
got.
gotta apply for that thing.
CERB is the same, yeah.
Okay, so it is taken from the same pool that we were taking from last time.
Sort of.
Okay.
But
It's just a different name
yeah,
for it.
because they had to pass a different bill or something.
Yeah.
I don't know. But either way, no, I'm not thrilled about any of it, and I would like to go back to work. But
Yeah.
My elbow
me.
still needs a couple
I
more
know
weeks
you do.
off the deal.
well, you'll get it. I'm sure you'll get it.
I
Yeah,
hope I
because
do.
this lockdown is technically supposed to be over next week.
Yeah,
Yeah.
on
But we're
Tuesday, I
not
think.
seeing anything
Apparently.
like that. Like, we haven't heard anything. We're now 6 days away from next Tuesday.
Yeah,
And
maybe give us some time to make a schedule
Nope.
or call it some.
Nope.
we
some of
just
our
had a press
appointments.
conference and we
Nope.
don't even mention the
Yeah.
lockdown?
Nope. Because it's not
'Cause-
going to stop.
Because welcome to, like, here we're a typical service business. If I want to start working again next Tuesday, I need to call my appointments ahead of time and see who's available next Tuesday.
Mhm.
Because guess what? Not everyone just happens to have midweek days off. A lot of people need to book a day off
Yep.
work to get their tattoo.
Mhm.
A lot of people need to schedule their life to come in and see me.
And a lot of people
So-
probably have to save up a little bit of money in advance for a tattoo.
I mean,
too.
my goal is, my hope is that they've all been saving this whole time. And
Well,
they've
a
got
lot of them
ton money
haven't been
spent on me.
working this whole time.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah.
So there's that.
Yeah.
The well dries up when you're not working.
Funny how that works, eh?
Yeah. When you have no income, it's hard to spend, which is why our economy
is about to collapse.
Yeah.
Welcome
it's-
to the end of days.
Oh, fun thought. I found, or a buddy of mine sent me a paper, a 35-page long paper called Deep Adaptation. Something in regards to adjusting for a climate change end of civilization scenario.
Uh-oh.
And I'm super excited to read it. I do recommend it. I've gone online to read what his critics say, what is proponents the right word here? What do proponents say? And I'm really excited for this read because it's not
Can
about
you forward it to us?
Yeah, it's a PDF.
Okay.
Like, it's
forward
that
it to us.
easy.
Let's talk about that next week.
Yeah, we'll do
Okay,
it as like a
shit.
book club.
Book
Yeah.
club.
Book club.
Here, you're getting a little bit of what you've mentioned before.
Yeah.
We should do like a movie review thing.
Yeah.
We
I
did that.
still
It's
agree with
called
that.
Ernest Saves Christmas,
Yeah.
and it was terrifying.
There's 3
It was
minutes and 45
terrifying.
seconds of nonsense.
And it was mind-boggling.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. 100%.
I almost feel bad for the people who watched it.
No. No, they
I
got
don't.
they got a joyful
I
thing.
love the one comment. Wow, I can't get over how much Epstein,
Epstein,
was in
yeah.
this.
I showed it to Rona and she kind of loved it.
Yeah.
I thought it was
Yeah,
hilarious.
me too.
But it's pretty mean-spirited stuff.
It was fun. It's all in jest because
Oh,
he's
yeah.
dead.
Yeah.
Anyways,
Pretty-
Is he dead? He didn't kill himself.